Chapter 3404. What kind of young great emperor is he? He's too weak. Although he's powerful, he's just a sage. It's not impossible to kill him. The expert from the Dragon Valley walked out. He was also a sage. Oh, kill him. His body was filled with powerful energy. As his dragon blood surged, everyone had to kneel down. Boom. In the next moment, the sage from the Dragon Valley attacked. He waved his hands, and a huge dragon head appeared in front of him. The dragon head appeared and emitted a terrifying aura. With a roar, it absorbed the void energy of the 9 heavens and 10 lands and charged forward. Void Divine Dragon Fist. Many people exclaimed. This was a peerless superpower of the Dragon Valley. A sage had evolved it, and it was extremely powerful. The Void Divine Dragon emitted a terrifying aura. There was even dragon blood condensing on it, as if a divine dragon was born. Furthermore, what was even stranger was that he was known as the Void Divine Dragon. Hence, only his dragon head, body, and claws were hidden in the void. No one knew where it would come from. Boom. All of a sudden, a dragon's tail appeared behind Lin Xian's back, and came down like a heavenly blade. This attack made many people's expressions change. Even the sage's hearts beat wildly. If they were hit, they would definitely be split in half. Not good. Kid, be careful. Yen Ruyu, the dark red divine dragon, and the northern demon were all nervous. Mu Bei's pupils shrank. However, in the face of such a terrifying and strange attack, Lin Xian did not dodge at all. He did not even turn his head. Instead, he struck out with his palm. His 5 fingers and 5 types of laws seemed to have turned into 5 mountains. They collided with the dragon tail of the Void Palace Divine Dragon. Boom. The entire universe was shaking, and the void ocean in the distance was surging. The 5 elements mountain hit the Void Divine Dragon's tail, and an earth-shattering sound was heard. What was even more frightening was that a crack had appeared on the Void Divine Dragon's tail. Furthermore, the crack was still spreading. Heavens, what did I just see? The surrounding people were stunned. The experts from the Dragon Valley screamed like crazy. This is impossible. Their sage's divine fist was actually shattered by the other party. That was the Void Divine Dragon Fist. Very few people of the same level could break it. Not to mention a newcomer who had just broken through and whose realm was still unstable. How did he do it? Just as they were in a daze, Lin Xian's second attack came. Another palm strike. The power of this palm strike was even more terrifying than before. The 9 young divine body and the 5 laws descended from the sky. With a loud boom, 3 cracks appeared on the Void Saint Dragon's tail, causing it to crumble. The Dragon Valley holy man's face was flushed red as his blood churned in his veins. He waved his hand, wanting to change the direction of the Void Divine Dragon Fist and attack again. However, Lin Xian did not give him the chance. With a stomp of his foot, his right leg swept out. The 5 elemental laws combined with the power of his physique seemed to have transformed into a 5 elemental divine sword. He kicked forward. This attack caused a huge crack to spread in all directions. Everything within a few million miles was torn apart. The Void Divine Dragon was broken in half by the kick. If the Dragon Valley Holy Man was at a disadvantage just now, the Void Divine Dragon Fist was completely broken now. The Dragon Valley Holy Man spat out a mouthful of blood. He almost fell from the sky. Dragon Valley, huh? You're just so. You don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me. Who else wants to try? Lin Xian looked at the Dark Moon Temple and the Seacone clan. His eyes were filled with provocation. At this moment, he had just broken through to the Sage realm. Naturally, he wanted to compete with these people to test his strength. Although it was just a simple exchange, Lin Xian was ecstatic. His guess was right. Previously, he could already kill a First Heaven Holy Man. Now that he had broken through to the First Heaven Holy Man, people of the same level would not be able to withstand a single blow from him. He should be able to deal with a Second Heaven Holy Man. Right now, Lin Xian was brimming with confidence. He could crush everything in his path. Wherever he looked, all the geniuses around him would lower their heads. Seeing this, Lin Xian snorted. Trash. His words made these people feel humiliated, but no one dared to respond. I'll do it. The Seacone clan's holy man was furious. Kid, I'll kill you with my own hands and take back the treasures that belong to the Sikong clan. I have a sword that can cut through the 9 heavens. The Sikong clan's holy man stood in the void with a pale face and no beard. The righteous chi of heaven and earth on his body was surging. As his voice fell, the void divine dragon tore through the void. The nomological laws that filled the sky tore the universe apart. A beam of sword light condensed and floated in front of him, and he grasped it. This sword was too terrifying. It was not a real weapon. It was a treasured sword that contained the Tao of heaven and earth. At this moment, the aura circulating on it made the surrounding people's hair stand on end. The righteous chi of heaven and earth. The Sikong clan was indeed very powerful. It was rumored that they could mobilize the heaven and earth phenomenon to the greatest extent. It seemed that it was true. Many sages nodded. They were still very afraid of the Sikong clan. The saint of the Sikong family brandished his long sword, splitting open the heavens and earth. It was like a peerless immortal light that swept towards Lin Xian. Competing in sword techniques? Lin Xian laughed. The 5 elements laws condensed on his body and formed a sword of laws. He grabbed it and slashed it out. Feeling the power of the 5 elements sword, the surrounding sages' faces changed. It was too terrifying. Although the other party had just become a holy man, his laws were too terrifying. It was formed by the 5 elements laws. The power made them extremely jealous. Indeed, it was the 5 elements sword. Once the 5 elements laws appeared, it really swept through everything. The 9 heavens and 10 lands were shaking. The path sword formed by heaven and earth on the other side also trembled. The last 2 divine swords collided in the sky. Boom. Countless large cracks spread out, and the path sword summoned by the Sikong clan vanished into thin air. Damn it! How is this kid so powerful? The Sikong clan's holy man's face changed. However, since he dared to come out, it meant that he had more tricks up his sleeve. There was a lonely city in the mountains. Following his voice, a city appeared in the 9 heavens. It looked like a city that had fallen from the celestial realm. It was broken and full of swords, spears, and weapons. It was obvious that it had existed for tens of thousands of years. When this scene appeared, the surrounding people's scalps tingled. It was another heaven and earth phenomenon. Not only that, but there were countless path mountains around the ancient city. They towered into the clouds and stood tall. They were like heavenly swords that were abnormally sharp and could cut through everything. Under this strange scene, the immortal city surrounded by mountains fell from the sky and suppressed Lin Xian. It was too terrifying. How could the Sikong clan have such a terrifying heaven and earth phenomenon? Many people screamed. Even Yan Ruyu and the others had serious expressions. Meanwhile, Black Mountain was secretly observing this battle from inside the moon-shaped pendant. When he saw this scene, he muttered softly, "I felt that something was wrong when I was fighting with that old man Sikong." The righteous chi of heaven and earth was more like a heaven and earth phenomenon. Chapter 3405. Lin Xian raised an eyebrow. The heavenly punishment sword? The heavenly punishment sword was one of the 5 swords in the world, just like the great dragon sword. Could it be that the Sikong family had something to do with the heavenly punishment sword? However, there was no time for him to think too much. Facing the immortal city and the thousands of mountains, Lin Xian shouted coldly and threw a punch. Is almost equal to suddenly, a 5-colored divine dragon flew out. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws. This 5-colored divine dragon was very strange. Only one of its heads was roaring, while its body, claws, and tail were all hidden in the void and could not be seen. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Void divine dragon fist. Damn it, how did he know this thing? The powerhouses of the Dragon Valley roared crazily. But soon, they thought of something. The other party was the successor of the Great Dragon Sword. Not only was the Great Dragon Sword unparalleled in terms of attack, but it could also evolve all kinds of mystiques. Now that the other party had used the Great Dragon Sword soul to evolve their mystiques, it was nothing. However, what made them so angry that they wanted to vomit blood was that the other party's attack seemed to be even more powerful than their sage's attack. Although the other party did not attack them this time, this unintentional slap in the face made their cheeks hurt. The 5-colored divine dragon rushed up. One of its heads bit the immortal city, while the other dragon claws and tail kept attacking the surrounding mountains. After an intense collision, the immortal city and the mountains disappeared. The five-colored divine dragon soared in the sky and then slowly disappeared. The sage of the Sikong family also took 2 steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was extremely ugly. Lin Xian laughed loudly. You can't do it either. You're no match for me. Who else? He looked around in all directions. At this moment, he was extremely powerful. Regardless of whether it was the young geniuses or the old powerhouses and sages, they were all stunned by his aura at this moment. It was the inheritance of the great sage. It must be the treasures in the great sage pagoda that made him so powerful. Hurry up and catch him together. The treasures of the great sage will be yours. At this moment, a cold voice rang out. Everyone was stunned when they heard it. Then their eyes burned with passion. That's right. Why bother talking about rules with the other party? Just attack together and capture the other party. So what if the other party was strong? Can one person stop so many of us? The surrounding experts of the Sikong clan were the first to step forward. Then the 8-Wind Palace, Dragon Valley, Vermilion Bird Palace, Dark Moon Palace, and the saints also stepped forward and surrounded Lin Xian. Lin Xian was not afraid. He looked around in all directions, searching for the person who had spoken. That person's voice sounded familiar, but he couldn't find him. Do you want a group battle? Do you think I'm afraid of you? Behind them, Saint Mubai and the others also stepped forward and came to Lin Xian's side. It seemed that a great battle was about to erupt. However, Lin Xian said, Elder Mubai, take Ryu and Ruffian Long and leave first. I will stay here and fight against them. There were too many of them. It would be unwise to fight them head-on. No, it's more dangerous for you to stay here alone. Saint Mubai shook his head. Dark Red Divine Dragon, Yen Ryu, and the others also looked nervous. I'll go with you, Yen Ryu said. However, Lin Xian said, Don't worry, they can't do anything to me. I have the Kuan-Peng movement technique. They can't stop me if I want to leave. But you guys are different. If you get trapped, it will be very troublesome. So, you guys go first. I'll give that thing to you. As Lin Xian said, he was about to take out the great sage statue. However, at this time, Black Mountain transmitted his voice to him. Kid, don't tell me you want to give the great sage statue to them. Let me remind you, don't give it to them first. There's a trap in the great sage statue. Wouldn't it be perfect to use it to kill these people? Hearing this, Lin Xian raised his eyebrows. He said, If I give you the great sage statue, they will definitely hunt you down. You guys retreat first, and I'll meet up with them at the Langya Star. Are you sure you're okay? Sage Mubai and the others were still very worried. Lin Xian said, Trust me, hurry up and leave. Otherwise, we won't have time. You guys should also leave with them. Alright, be careful. Yen Ryu nodded. Ruffian Dragon also said, Kid, you must come back alive. The North Demon, Sage Mubai, and the others gritted their teeth and quickly retreated. You want to leave? Impossible. The surrounding people surrounded them. Lin Xian shouted, The great sage treasure that you want is with me. Let them go. I'll fight you here. As he spoke, he directly took out the great sage statue. In an instant, the righteous chi of heaven and earth accompanied by the terrifying pressure of the great sage descended from the sky. The expressions of the surrounding people changed. In the next moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on the statue of the great sage. Their eyes were burning with passion. What's that? The great sage's Dharma idol. Patriarch. That's our patriarch. The people of the Sikong family were even more excited. Many of them directly knelt in the sky. More of them roared, Damn kid, hand over our patriarch's Dharma idol. Otherwise, we'll tear you into pieces. The others also roared, Hand it over. Let's go. Sage Mubai gritted his teeth and roared. He entered the spirit boat and quickly left. No one stopped him during the process, because everyone's attention was attracted by the great sage's Dharma idol. So what if those people left? It would not be that easy for the other party's demonic blood to reach Langya planet and call for reinforcements. By the time the reinforcements arrived, they would have already killed the other party. Seeing that Sage Mubai and the others had safely left, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time he asked, Black Mountain, tell me, what other secrets do you have about the great sage's Dharma idol? Black Mountain chuckled. Of course. I've been entangled with old man Situ for tens of thousands of years. There's both the righteous chi and my demonic chi in the great sage's Dharma idol. That energy is definitely beyond your imagination. Kid, only you have the great dragon sword soul, and can restrain me. Otherwise, if you attacked the great sage's Dharma idol directly, you would have died in the great sage pagoda. What you need to do next is to release the two extremely terrifying auras in the Dharma idol. Especially my monstrous demonic aura. How could there be such a thing? Lin Xian's expression changed. Damn it. Fortunately, I didn't kill Black Mountain. Otherwise he would probably be seriously injured when he obtained the great sage's Dharma idol. However, now he looked at the people around him and the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. I'll let these people have a taste of my demonic chi and despair. Kid, hurry up and hand over the great sage's Dharma idol. The powerful cultivators and sages of the various sects were roaring angrily. Lin Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings and laughed heartily. You want the inheritance of the great sage? Come, let's see if you're qualified. Chapter 3406. On the other hand, Lin Xian leaped into the air. He did not take the great sage Dharma power with him. Instead, he left the great sage statue there. In an instant, the powerhouses of the Sikong clan took the lead and rushed over. They arrived in front of the great sage statue and bowed. Ha 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 ha, the ancestors' Dharma power is ours. We finally got it. They were overjoyed. Boom. However, as soon as they started laughing, some of them were blasted into a bloody mist. The powerhouses of the Dragon Valley directly killed a few of the Sikong clan members. Then they sneered. How dare you snatch the great sage Dharma power? So what if it belongs to the Sikong clan? Today, it belongs to the Dragon Valley. You're courting death. Let's fight. The Sikong clan members roared angrily. The powerhouses of the Dragon Valley sneered. A great battle broke out. The people of the Eight-Wind Palace also laughed. Is that so? So what if you count me in? Many of the surrounding people also joined the battle. However, there were also some people who charged toward Lin Xian. This was because Lin Xian also had two great inheritances, and the Great Destruction Spear, which also made people jealous. The people of the Vermilion Bird Palace charged forward and unleashed terrifying flames, creating a world of flames. Lin Xian dodged with his extreme movement technique. At the same time, the people of the Dark Moon Palace also rushed over to assassinate him. Lin Xian used the 5 elemental laws to form a divine sword that swept in all directions, and sent the people around him flying. At the same time, he felt that the situation was about right, so he rushed forward. Chase him. Don't let him get away. Everyone was chasing after him. At this moment, they were divided into 2 groups. One group was besieging and snatching the great sage Dharma power, while the other group was chasing after Lin Xian. At this moment, Lin Xian was heading toward the great sage Dharma power. The Kuan-Peng movement technique was extremely fast. In an instant, it arrived beside the great sage Dharma power. You want to kill me? You want the great sage Dharma power? You people. Go to hell, all of you. With that, Lin Xian began to slap the great sage's Dharma idol according to Black Mountain's instructions. At the same time, he stood in a strange position, and the aura of Black Mountain emanated from his body. A shocking change took place. The great sage's Dharma idol was originally a stalwart man with an awe-inspiring aura, like that of a warlord. But all of a sudden, his eyes moved, and a blood-red light lit up, incomparably bewitching. The red light swept across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. At the same time, a surge of demonic aura rushed out from his body. This aura was truly too terrifying. It was the demonic chi left behind by the Black Mountain, after fighting for tens of thousands of years. As soon as that demonic aura appeared, it swept through the world. Boom! Boom! In an instant, some of the people nearby were swallowed up by the demonic aura and died instantly. The other people were also sent flying, vomiting mouthfuls of blood. What was that? Damn it, demonic aura. How could there be demonic aura? Wasn't he from the Sikong clan? Didn't the great sage of the Sikong clan cultivate the righteous spirit of heaven and earth? The people around him went crazy. The people of the Sikong clan were also dumbfounded. Demonic aura could be said to be the complete opposite of righteous spirit. But why was their ancestors' Dharma idol at this moment like a peerless demon? Could it be that this wasn't their ancestor? They still couldn't figure it out. That monstrous demonic aura was really too terrifying. The people around him were all enveloped in an instant, and they all wailed like ghosts and howled like wolves. Damn brat, how dare you trick us? These people roared crazily. They finally understood why Lin Xian dared to bring the great sage's Dharma idol here alone and wait for them. It turned out that the other party had such a trump card. This was definitely enough to kill all of them. Run quickly. This was the great sage's aura, and it was far beyond them. It wasn't something they could resist at all. Therefore, the remaining sages fled like crazy. Can you escape? How can you resist the demonic aura of my Black Mountain? Black Mountain sneered secretly. As expected, although those sages avoided the spreading demonic aura, they were still enveloped by the red gaze. In the next moment, their faces became extremely distorted, and their eyes were also extremely red. His entire being became abnormally violent. They began to attack the people around them as if they had fallen into madness. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian was stunned as well. This should be a soul attack, right? If they wanted to avoid the soul attack of the old demon of Black Mountain, they would have to be like him, who had the great dragon sword soul and could directly destroy it. Otherwise, it would be the real great sage. The surrounding sages of the first heaven probably didn't have that power. Sure enough, the surrounding sages were all affected and began to attack crazily. They started to kill each other. The surrounding people were also surrounded by the demonic aura. The void was like azura hell, and they attacked mercilessly. Blood of the sages floated between heaven and earth, and it was abnormally terrifying as if it had become the 18th level of hell. Only Lin Xian stood near the great sage's Dharma idol. His body was surrounded by the aura of Black Mountain, so he wouldn't be attacked at all. This process was really too tragic. No. Ancestor, why are you killing us? The geniuses of the Vermilion Bird Palace screamed crazily. They really couldn't understand why they were killed by their own people instead of being enveloped by the demonic aura. Those geniuses' eyes were wide open, and they didn't understand what was going on until they died. The powerhouses of the Dark Moon Temple were also killed by their own sages. Even the sages of the Dragon Valley and the Eight Wind Palace were fighting. The people of the Sikong family tried their best to resist, but the aura of the Dharma idol was still not the power of heaven and earth, but the monstrous demonic aura. Therefore, they were also affected. In an instant, they began to kill their own disciples crazily. This was a kind of despair. Being killed by one's own seniors was the most tragic outcome. In the end, those sages also began to fight and kill each other. In addition to the monstrous demonic aura around them, they attacked crazily. No one could escape. The battle continued for 10 days and 10 nights, and finally, all the screams disappeared. Everyone around him had been killed. Mountains of corpses and seas of blood were densely packed, as if it had really become the Hall of Hell. At this moment, only Lin Xian was alive. It was over. Lin Xian witnessed the crazy scene of 10 days and 10 nights, and he was extremely shocked. However, his will was firm, so he wasn't affected at all. Moreover, these people all reaped what they had sown. If these people weren't greedy, if they didn't want to kill him, then these people wouldn't have ended up like this. He looked at the great sage Dharma idol again. At this moment, all the demonic aura of the great sage Dharma idol was released. What remained was the power of heaven and earth. Such a pure Dharma idol and power of heaven and earth was enough to suppress the demonic aura on the Langia star. Moreover, he wasn't worried about any side effects. Therefore, he waved his hand and put away the Dharma idol. Let's go, Lin Xian said indifferently, looking around. Then, just as he was about to leave, Heishan arrived. Kid, there are still people here, and they are leaving quickly. Chapter 3407. He activated it. What was going on? The Black Mountain Great Sage was shocked. Your eyes are also very unique. Forget it, I don't have time to study this now. Am the remnant soul of the great sage. Although my cultivation is weak now, my experience is definitely not something you can compare to. Hurry up, 103,000 meters to your left, someone is leaving quickly. Hearing this, Lin Xian no longer hesitated. Without saying a word, he directly slapped out a light palm. It enveloped that area. With a loud boom, the surrounding space was shattered into pieces. The power of the great dragon sword soul was displayed by him. It could definitely destroy all the void. As expected, there was no one in the shattered void. However, when the great dragon sword chi swept through the void one by one, a figure soared into the sky. He blasted the great dragon sword chi away, and then fled into the distance. There was indeed someone. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. Just who was it that could actually dodge such a terrifying soul attack? He could even avoid his heavenly secret divine eyes. He used the Kuenpeng technique and quickly chased after him. At the same time, he used the heavenly secret divine eyes to the extreme. He saw a ray of light, and the aura it contained shocked him. The great sage of the Black Mountain also exclaimed, "Why did I feel the power of the great emperor? Yin Nantian, it's him. He's really here." Lin Xian revealed a cold smile, and at the same time explained to the Black Mountain. He was the successor of the great emperor. The successor of the great emperor? No wonder he could feel the great emperor's aura. The Black Mountain nodded. Lin Xian, on the other hand, smiled. He had searched high and low for something, and now he found it without any effort. He finally met Yin Nantian again. Moreover, judging from the other party's aura, he should not have broken through. Then this time would be the death of the other party. Thinking of this, he sped up again and chased after him crazily. Yin Nantian was extremely depressed, and even his face was frighteningly dark. He really couldn't understand. He used the great emperor's inheritance to hide his aura and isolate everything. Even a level 2 or level 3 sage might not be able to see through it. But how did the other party see through it? He knew that his opponent's eye technique was powerful, but he was more confident in his emperor's legacy. How could he have known that not only did Lin Xian break through this time, but he also had the remnant soul of the great sage by his side? His knowledge and experience were naturally not something an ordinary sage could compare to. Therefore, he could only run for his life like a madman. However, no matter how many tricks he had up his sleeves, his current cultivation level had already fallen behind Lin Xian. Therefore, it didn't take long for the gap between the two of them to shrink. Yin Nantian screamed crazily. He roared, "Damn it, don't attack me. Can we reconcile? I can teach you 1 or 2 ultimate techniques of the great emperor. As long as you let me go. Let you off. Stop dreaming. There's no way I'll let you off. So you should just die obediently." Lin Xian attacked in a frenzy. His law divine chains transformed into a giant dragon that danced in the sky and blasted forward. Yin Nantian roared madly. He was courting death. 9 monarch marks revolved around his body as he took out the Saint Chariot. He blocked the Saint Chariot in front of him. With a clang, he was sent flying in the next moment. The Saint Chariot trembled. Yin Nantian spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. However, in the end he managed to block the attack. In the next moment, he drove the Saint Chariot and rushed over quickly. He had to escape quickly. He was no match for the other party now. Only by returning to the Vermilion Bird Palace could he ensure his safety. Thinking of this, he drove the Saint Chariot crazily. "Do you want to leave? Do you think you can leave?" Lin Xian's eyes burst out with piercing, killing intent. This was the best opportunity for him to kill the other party. Therefore, he wouldn't let the other party escape. In an instant, he chased after him. His speed was extremely fast. Yin Nantian was scared out of his wits. He pulled out the Spear of Great Destruction and struck out. The 5 elemental laws, accompanied by a black shadow, rushed out. Yin Nantian's scalp went numb as he quickly dodged. At the same time, the 9 monarch marks and the phantoms of the 4 divine beasts blocked the attack. However, he was really no match for the other party now. Therefore, he didn't dare to fight with Lin Xian anymore. He could only run away crazily. Yin Nantian burned his power, and instantly used a secret technique to appear tens of millions of miles away. Then, without hesitation, he opened a scroll. It was a very ancient scroll with a teleportation array carved on it. As soon as it appeared, the The power of space enveloped Yin Nantian. Kid, just you wait. When I become a saint, I'll kill you. Yin Nantian's body gradually disappeared. Behind him, Lin Xian's pupils constricted. Is he leaving? There's still a teleportation array. Impossible. I won't let you go. His divine body and laws circulated, and he turned into a Kuan Peng. At this moment, Lin Xian's speed surpassed everything. The piercing sword light, accompanied by the phantom of the Kuan Peng, rushed over. At the last moment when the array formation disappeared, he also followed in. Buzz. He and Yin Nantian were teleported together. Buzz. In the endless starry sky, Yin Nantian appeared. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. Am I finally saved? Just as he was about to leave, his body trembled, and he suddenly turned around. The teleportation array behind him had not completely disappeared, and a shocking murderous intent came from inside. No way is he coming? How is that possible? They're tens of millions of miles away. How can his speed change so quickly? Yin Nantian's expression was ugly. He raised his palm and directly slapped at the teleportation array. He wanted to destroy it. However, a black spear came out of it and pierced through Yin Nantian's palm. Yin Nantian screamed and retracted his palm. His expression was cold. Buzz. Lin Xian walked out of the teleportation array. Do you think I can't kill you just because you have a teleportation array? As he said that, he exerted force and chopped off one of Yin Nantian's arms. Yin Nantian screamed in pain, and his face became extremely distorted. However, at this moment, he waved his other hand, and immediately, a red light streaked across and slashed at Lin Xian's glabella. Lin Xian felt an inexplicable sense of danger. The divine chains of order transformed, and he used the sacred shield to block in front of him. With a clang, he was forced back, and the 5 elemental laws were almost split apart. What? Lin Xian was extremely shocked. As expected, Yin Nantian is not simple. He shouted coldly, and the 5 elemental laws intertwined quickly, entangling the red light. Only then did he see it clearly. It was a treasured sword. It was only the size of a palm, and it was engraved with runes. A biting cold murderous intent bloomed from it. Lin Xian gasped. This treasured sword is too terrifying. It's definitely a hidden weapon. In fact, if a second heaven sage was not careful, he would be pierced through. However, Lin Xian was too strong. No matter how powerful the killing sword was, he could block it. Chapter 3408. Buzz. He didn't hold back at all as he attacked. Yin Nantian could only rely on the Saint Chariot to block. He used all of his abilities, but he was no match for Lin Xian. The heaven-destroying finger, the thunder god's body, and even the immortal burying tower. However, that illusion was shattered by Lin Xian's attack. In the end, Yin Nantian was defeated. However, he didn't use the Emperor Regeneration Talisman. Instead, he used a secret technique to recover. At the same time, he covered his body with the Saint Chariot. Then he turned into a ray of light and fled for his life. Throughout the entire process, Yin Nantian activated the teleportation array 3 times, but Lin Xian caught up to him each time. Just like that, they arrived near planet Suzaku before they knew it. Along the way, they met some powerful cultivators. When they saw Lin Xian's terrifying killing intent, they all backed off. Just a little more and they would reach planet Suzaku. Yin Nantian's eyes were bloodshot. He took out precious heaven and earth treasures from his storage ring and devoured them without any regard for his life. At this moment, he couldn't care about anything else. As long as he could survive, he could get back everything he had. He had even started to burn his bloodline. He also activated the last teleportation array in his hand. You want to leave? Stay. Lin Xian let out an angry roar and attacked again. However, Yin Nantian was determined this time. He split his soul and an avatar to die for him. As for his true body, he entered the teleportation formation and disappeared. Lin Xian's expression was cold after he killed the avatar. That attack had damaged Yin Nantian's foundation. Even if Yin Nantian was the successor of a great emperor, he wouldn't be able to recover in a few hundred years. However, that wasn't what he wanted. What he wanted was to kill Yin Nantian. Therefore, Lin Xian let out a roar, gathered the power of all 9 heavens and 10 earths, and charged over. So what if Yin Nantian returned to planet Suzaku? If he wanted to kill someone, not even the heavens could stop him. Planet Suzaku. The red earth and the temperature of the flames were so high that even space was burning. However, Yin Nantian was smiling. Finally, he was back in their territory. This time he was safe. When he returned this time, he would definitely go into seclusion. Before he reached the sage realm, he would not come out even if he was beaten to death. Just as he was about to leave, his scalp suddenly went numb, and he screamed in horror. In the sky, a beam of light tore through the astral winds and charged over. Yin Nantian, you're not leaving. A cold voice resounded through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Damn it, are they here again? Yin Nantian's scalp went numb, and he quickly fled. However, Lin Xian made his move. Without another word, he took out the left hand of the devil. He had obtained the devil's left hand from Cloud Sky Saint. Previously, Cloud Sky Saint's strength was not as strong as his. However, after he had the devil's left hand, his strength had surpassed Cloud Sky Saint's. However, in the end he actually died at the hands of the left hand of the devil. All of this made the devil's left hand seem extremely strange. However, Lin Xian was very interested. Thus he sealed it away. Originally, he had planned to study it when he had the time. But now he couldn't care less. In an instant, he fused the devil's left hand with his palm. Then he viciously pressed down on the ground. At this moment, the devil's left hand combined with the 5 elemental laws to form a killing blow. No matter how strong Yin Nantian was, he couldn't withstand it. With one strike he turned into ashes. However, Lin Xian didn't relax because he knew that Yin Nantian had many trump cards. He had seen the Great Emperor Regeneration Talisman many times. Therefore, he knew that he couldn't kill Yin Nantian. As expected, he found a rune in the blood mist through the heavenly secret prodigy. It was an intact rune. The rune trembled, and Yin Nantian instantly recovered. His expression was extremely cold, and his strength had also reached its peak. Yin Nantian instantly recovered to his peak. Without another word, he burned the 9 great emperor runes, the 4 great divine beast phantoms, and the bloodline power in his body to the extreme. At the same time, he shouted coldly, Yin Nantian, quickly notify the Vermilion Bird Palace. I'm being chased by Lin Xian. Whoever can save me, I'll give him the great emperor's mystique. His voice resounded throughout the world. It seemed that Yin Nantian didn't care about anything else in order to survive. On the other hand, Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. A perfect emperor rune? It seems that your trump card is about to be used up. He charged forward again. Who dares to attack young Master Yin? In the distance, 3 streaks of light rushed over. They were 3 sages. The 3 sages had originally gathered nearby to exchange their cultivation experiences. Now that they heard Yin Nantian's voice, their eyes lit up. Yin Nantian was being chased by Lin Xian. They hadn't gone to the Void Ocean, and news of the Void Ocean hadn't spread. Therefore, they knew that Lin Xian was stronger than Yin Nantian. But that was all. Yin Nantian was at most a half-sage, and might be able to fight against a sage. However, if the 3 sages worked together, they could definitely take him down. As long as they saved Yin Nantian, they would be able to obtain the Great Emperor's mystique. A Great Emperor's mystique would be able to change their strength dramatically. Therefore, under such temptation, they attacked decisively. Those who stop me will die. Lin Xian roared. He reached out with his demonic left hand and blasted the 3 sages into a bloody mist. This time he didn't hold back. Therefore, the 3 first heaven stage sages were completely killed. How terrifying was that? It scared Yin Nantian out of his wits. There were still some people in the surrounding tens of millions of miles. However, when they wanted to attack again, they were completely stunned. The 3 first heaven stage sages were instantly killed. This strength terrified them. No one dared to attack again. However, even if they didn't dare to attack Lin Xian, they could inform Vermilion Bird Palace. That would also be a great contribution. Needless to say, some people were really lucky to encounter people from Vermilion Bird Palace. In a mountain range, Vermilion Bird Palace's sages and some geniuses were besieging a secret cave. When they received the news, their expressions immediately changed. Yin Nantian was being chased by Lin Wudi, and his life was on the line. Kill. They directly charged over. Yin Nantian was already scared out of his wits. He no longer had the arrogance and pride of a great emperor's successor. At this moment, he only hoped that someone could save him. He had already burned his blood and swallowed all the most precious pills in his hands without caring about anything else. However, the distance between the two was getting closer and closer. Moreover, he was hit by the demonic left hand. Although it wasn't a complete hit, the aftermath of the energy caused half of his body to rot. Just when he thought that he was definitely going to die, suddenly, an angry roar came from afar. Stop! Who dares to hurt young Master Yin? The Vermilion Bird Palace's sage has arrived. Everyone kneel. Chapter 3409. Great, am saved. Yin Nantian heaved a sigh of relief. In an instant, the sages from afar arrived. 5 first heaven stage sages and 16 half sages. Such a lineup could be said to be very powerful. Therefore, Yin Nantian heaved a sigh of relief when he saw it. After swallowing a few precious pills, he said, "Help me block him. I want to return to Vermilion Bird Palace and immediately go into seclusion. I've injured my foundation." What? Hearing this, the sages of Vermilion Bird Palace changed their expressions. They were not surprised that Yin Nantian was injured because Lin Xian was very powerful. However, it was not a small problem to injure one's foundation. It might affect one's future cultivation, so they did not dare to be careless. "Young Master Yin, don't worry. Go back and I'll help you kill this kid. Yes, we have more people. After we kill Lin Wudi, no one will be able to threaten young Master anymore." The 5 sages' eyes shone with a cold light. The 16 half sages behind them also sneered. Lin Xian's expression was cold. "Kill me?" He poured the Great Dragon Sword Soul into the Great Destruction Spear, and then used the left hand of the devil to hold the Great Destruction Spear. At the same time, he activated his heavenly secret divine eyes. "Go to hell." "No, stop him." Seeing Lin Xian's actions, Yin Nantian screamed crazily. The threat of the left hand of the devil was too great. Therefore, he quickly fled. The other 5 sages were also furious when they saw this scene. "Go to hell." 2 sages attacked and 3 sages protected Yin Nantian. In their opinion, such a lineup was enough. However, they did not expect Lin Xian to be so powerful. He had already become a sage and the left hand of the devil. Even a second heaven stage sage would definitely die here. Therefore, the 2 sages were sent flying before they could even get close to Lin Xian. The other 3 sages were pierced. The last one to be pierced was Yin Nantian. "This is impossible." Yin Nantian's eyes widened in disbelief. He felt his life draining away. He wanted to struggle, but he couldn't. He used the last of his strength and screamed crazily. "I'm the successor of the great emperor, the successor of great emperor Hongwu. He had the inheritance of a great emperor. He was destined to become a great emperor in the future. But now, before he could even become a true sage, was he going to die here? I can't accept this." Yin Nantian roared into the sky. However, he no longer had the Emperor Regeneration Talisman. Furthermore, he couldn't escape now. So what if you're unwilling? All of this is your own doing, and you can't live. The enmity between us will disappear from now on. As Lin Xian's voice fell, the devil's left hand, the Great Destruction Spear, and the Great Dragon Sword Soul exploded with all their might, killing the 3 sages. Yin Nantian's body was also torn apart, his soul destroyed. The blood mist that filled the sky was then completely wiped out. There was only a giant crack in the sky. It was a shocking sight. The 2 saints of Rosefinch Palace and the 16 half-saints were all stunned. What did they see? Yin Nantian had been insta-killed. What kind of power was this? What exactly did this brat experience? Why did his strength change so drastically? They could not understand. However, they were not worried. Young Master Yin was the successor of a great emperor, and had the Emperor Regeneration Talisman. They should quickly escort him away. They soared into the sky and flew forward. But soon they were stunned. There was no more blood mist in the world, let alone the Emperor Regeneration Talisman. They waited for a long time, but there was no sign of it. They thought of an unbelievable thought. Could it be that the Emperor Regeneration Talisman had been used up? When they thought of this, they gasped. The 16 half-saints were also dumbfounded. If the Emperor Regeneration Talisman was used up, Yin Nantian couldn't be revived? Yin Nantian had been completely killed. This was an earth-shattering event. It was bigger than anything else. Rosefinch Palace was probably going to riot, and the ancient path of the stars was going to be chaotic. Yin Nantian was the successor of a great emperor. He was very likely to become the new great emperor in the future. Rosefinch Palace had done so many things for Yin Nantian, and made enemies with so many people. But now Yin Nantian was dead. Rosefinch Palace no longer had a trump card and a pillar of support. It could be imagined that the future would be a disastrous blow. Run quickly and spread the news. The two saints roared. Lin Xian was too dangerous. They had to go back and gather the most powerful experts and saints to capture him. Yin Nantian was dead. They had to kill Lin Xian. Otherwise, Rosefinch Palace would not be able to sleep in peace. You still want to leave? Stay here. Lin Xian used the left hand of the devil to kill the two saints. As for the remaining half-saints, the 5 elemental laws on his body turned into 5 elemental divine swords and flew in all directions. They were all killed. Their bodies and souls were destroyed. No one escaped. The surroundings were terrifying and quiet. Who would have thought that such an earth-shattering battle had taken place here? Moreover, the successor of a great emperor had died here. After Lin Xian killed these people, he did not leave. Instead, he looked into the void. Do you think I can't find you if you hide there without moving? You're the one who tipped me off, right? His golden hand directly grabbed a figure. That figure knelt on the ground and kowtowed non-stop. Spare me, I've been possessed. Spare my life. Spare you? You've seen everything. That's impossible. In your next life, don't be my enemy again. With that, he killed the other party with a single blow. Lin Xian turned around. His eyes flickered. He wanted to find Yin Nantian's relics. Yin Nantian was the successor of a great emperor. If he died, he would definitely leave something behind, especially the great emperor's legacy. This tempted him. At the same time in Rosefinch Palace, the palace lord and a group of elders were discussing. Calculating the time, there should be news from the void ocean. Yes, it should be out soon. What kind of harvest would they have this time? Yin Nantian should have gained the most. He would probably go into seclusion again. He would be able to become a saint. Yes, after becoming a saint, Yin Nantian's strength would be even more terrifying. An ordinary first heaven sage was no match for him. In a few hundred years, he would be invincible in the starry sky. When that time came, Rosefinch Palace would be the biggest winner. Yin Nantian was the successor of a great emperor. In the future, his worst achievement would be that of the great sage. There was even a high chance that he would become the new great emperor. In that case, Rosefinch Palace would be invincible in the world for tens of thousands of years. At this point, they became more and more excited. It was as if they could see the scene of them dominating the universe in the future. However, at this moment, a few elders screamed like crazy. Palace Lord, this is bad. Yin Nantian's soul tablet has shattered. What? The moment these words were spoken, the Vermilion Bird Palace Master in the main hall abruptly stood up. The surrounding elders were also stunned. What did you say? Yin Nantian's soul tablet has shattered? How is that possible? Chapter 34:10. They didn't dare to believe it. A soul tablet was made by fusing a sliver of a person's soul with a special divine crystal. It was used to observe life and death. If the person in the distance was alive, the soul tablet would be safe and sound. If the person died, the soul tablet would also be destroyed. It was used to observe the safety of the person who wasn't by their side. Yin Nantian's soul tablet was guarded by people who couldn't relax for even a moment. But now what did they hear? Yin Nantian's soul tablet was destroyed. What was going on? Didn't this mean that Yin Nantian was dead? But how was that possible? In an instant, their hearts fell into a 10,000-year-old ice cave. Just a moment ago, they were still fantasizing about Yin Nantian becoming the great emperor, and their Vermilion Bird Palace ruling over the universe. But now, their greatest support was actually dead. They quickly took it to see what was going on. Could it be that something had happened to the Void Sea? Just at this moment, a few more people ran over and knelt on the ground, trembling. Palace Master, Elders, this is bad. Many of the Elders' soul tablets have been destroyed. A total of 5 sages and 16 half-sages were destroyed at the same time. What? The Vermilion Bird Palace Master and the Elders all went crazy. Originally, they thought that Yin Nantian had encountered some danger in the Void Sea. Perhaps he had been killed by an ancient formation. But now it seemed that this wasn't the case. Their 5 sages and 16 half-sages soul tablets had all been destroyed at the same time as Yin Nantian. And these sages and half-sages were all on planet Suzaku. None of them had gone to the Void Sea. What did this mean? This meant that Yin Nantian had been killed on planet Suzaku. What was going on? They couldn't understand at all. But they could imagine that Yin Nantian had already left the Void Sea and fled to planet Suzaku. But he had still been killed by the enemy. Who had done it? A holy sovereign? A sage king? Or the great sage? They didn't know. But it was clear that a powerful enemy had done it. Because their people hadn't even sent back any news. Even a sage couldn't send back any news. What kind of terrifying person was that? But they were also enraged. The Vermilion Bird Palace Master roared, "Search! Get it for me!" At the same time, lock down planet Suzaku and mobilize all forces. No matter what, we must find the culprit. At this moment, the Vermilion Bird Palace was in an uproar. Countless powerhouses swarmed out. More than half of planet Suzaku was shocked. All the cultivators, families, and sects on planet Suzaku trembled. Because they had never seen such a riot in the Vermilion Bird Palace. This was practically an all-out attack. What were they trying to do? Where were they going to attack? Unify planet Suzaku? On the other side, Lin Xian stood in the void and frowned. He had already scanned his surroundings with his heavenly fortune god eyes, but he still could not find the martial monarch's inheritance. "Hey Shan, can you think of a way to find him?" Lin Xian said in a deep voice. "I'm already looking for it. I'll use the secret arts of the great sages." Black Mountain searched the area. Suddenly, it unleashed a burst of demonic chi that shattered the void. Then balls of light scattered down. It was a storage ring, and there was also a light shadow. The light shadow was very blurry. From afar, it looked like the 9 Emperor runes. However, at this moment, the 9 Emperor runes were connected. It was abnormally strange and terrifying. This should be the martial monarch's inheritance, right? Lin Xian's eyes lit up. He reached out with his hand and grabbed toward the front. In the blink of an eye, everything in front of him was sealed by him. However, his palm soon moved, and the sphere of light formed by the 9 great emperor marks smashed through his seal and escaped from his grasp. "Where are you going?" Lin Xian let out a roar. Terrifying 5 elemental laws rushed out of his body. The terrifying light destroyed heaven and earth. Dense sword chi flew out and cut off the 9 heavens, blocking the inheritance. However, the martial monarch's inheritance was too terrifying. It shattered everything with one strike. Then it disappeared. Damn it. Lin Xian could not find it again. He Shan said, "Stop chasing, kid. Even I might not be able to obtain the martial monarch's inheritance at my peak, let alone you. It depends on luck. It's useless to use force." Was this an opportunity? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Since He Shan said so, it would be useless for him to attack. Therefore he did not attack, but narrowed his eyes. "Kid, I have to say, I'm starting to see you in a different light." He Shan nodded. Lin Xian snorted. "What's there to see?" He Shan shook his head. "You have to know that the one that escaped is the martial monarch's inheritance. Who wouldn't be jealous of it? Even when I was alive, even great sages would be envious of me if they saw me. However, you don't seem to be disappointed. It would be a lie to say that you're not disappointed." Lin Xian sighed. After all, the martial monarch's inheritance was something that surpassed everything. There was a high chance of becoming a martial monarch. However, you said that even the great sage couldn't get it. It depends on luck. No matter how unwilling I am, it's useless. I might as well look on the bright side. Besides, I'm very confident in myself. I believe that one day, I'll reach the peak of the martial path and become a martial monarch. This is my belief, and also my goal in martial arts. Therefore, it doesn't matter if I don't have the martial monarch's inheritance. Come to think of it, martial monarch Hongwu didn't have the inheritance of other martial monarchs, but he still became a martial monarch. If others can do it, why can't I? Heishan did not say anything, but his heart was filled with astonishment. Impressive. An undefeatable heart. It was rare to see someone like that. The kid before him was indeed special. Perhaps he could really take the final path. Someone was coming. Suddenly, Heishan transmitted his voice to remind Lin Xian. Lin Xian frowned too. He could sense that many people were flying toward them from afar. Besides, their auras were extremely powerful. At the same time, a series of furious roars could be heard. Who was it? Who dared to kill Yan Nantian? I'm going to tear you into pieces. Lin Xian scoffed coldly. He did not stay there any longer, and turned to leave. His speed was extremely fast. When those people from afar arrived, they couldn't see him anymore. However, after flying for a while, Lin Xian frowned. He realized that his surroundings seemed to have formed a tight encirclement. There were people from Vermilion Bird Palace everywhere. It seemed like he could only force his way through. Lin Xian made his move. His sharp sword Qi killed a few experts from Vermilion Bird Palace. He didn't use the demon's left hand. After all, he still remembered that Cloud Sky Sage died under the demon's left hand. Therefore, he couldn't use it too many times. It was better to keep it as a trump card. Even if he didn't use the demon's left hand, it would be easy for him to kill these people. After breaking through the defensive line, he quickly flew away. However, the people around him roared. Someone killed our people. It must be the murderer. Right at this moment, an extremely terrifying aura slammed over from all directions. Not good. It's a small saint. Chapter 34:11. A minor saint was in existence at the 6th heavenly layer of the Sage Realm. It was extremely terrifying. Even Lin Xian couldn't resist it with his current strength. Therefore, when he heard that, he immediately took out the teleportation formation. In an instant he was teleported out. However, that frightening hand had also swatted over. Accompanying it was an endless sea of lightning that completely covered the entire sky. This was no longer a simple palm. It was extremely terrifying. Even though Lin Xian was teleported, he was still forcefully pushed out. However, the distance was still very far. Moreover, with Lin Xian's current strength, he could still withstand it. With a roar, the 5 elemental laws wrapped around him, and he quickly fled into the distance. His entire person seemed to have turned into an ancient Korenpeng. His speed was extremely fast. That guy actually escaped. How was that possible? The surrounding people of Vermilion Bird Palace were all stunned. The one who attacked was their Grand Elder. That was a minor saint. How could such a terrifying existence let the other party escape? Who exactly was that person? The aura of a dragon. Lin Wudi. At this moment, an old figure appeared in the sky. He was really too old. His entire body was withered, but his pair of eyes carried an extremely terrifying aura. He was a minor saint of Vermilion Bird Palace, and also the Grand Elder. After he received the news, he immediately came. When the surrounding people heard that, they were extremely shocked. Oh God, it was actually Lin Wudi. Impossible. They were going crazy. When did Lin Wudi become so powerful? However, they didn't have the time to think about it anymore. They all looked at the minor saint. The minor saint snorted. Don't worry. No matter how powerful he is, he won't be able to escape from my palm. That's true. The surrounding people of Vermilion Bird Palace heaved a sigh of relief. Their Grand Elder was a minor saint. How terrifying was a 6th heavenly layer of the Sage Realm. No matter how powerful Lin Wudi was, he should have just broken through to the Sage Realm. Such a person was like an ant in front of a minor saint. He couldn't even withstand a single blow. The attack just now should have allowed the other party to escape. It should be because he was lucky. The next attack would definitely kill him. Buzz. The little saint's body flickered, and he quickly rushed out. There were 81 lightning seas revolving around him. He was like an ancient god of thunder. At this moment he mercilessly attacked again. As soon as the saint domain appeared, the entire world seemed to turn into a sea of lightning. Lin Xian's body also trembled, a deep sense of shock appearing in his eyes. Was this the power of a minor saint? It was too terrifying. He had already run so far, but he still couldn't escape the other party's attack. What to do? Lin Xian was extremely anxious. The current him was no match for a minor saint. Can you escape? He was just an ant. Since you dared to kill Yan Nantian, you should obediently become our prisoner. Don't worry, we won't kill you either. But from today onwards, you'll be a slave of our Vermilion Bird Palace. Everything you have belongs to Vermilion Bird Palace. I will make you wish you were dead. I'll let you know the whereabouts of those who dared to offend us. At this moment, a cold voice sounded, causing Lin Xian's scalp to go numb. Lin Xian turned his head and saw an abnormally withered, zombie-like figure walking towards him. The other party's aura was too strong. The lightning on his body had a piercing red glow, as if it was fresh blood. Was this the minor saint? An old fart dares to be arrogant in front of me? If we were at the same level, I would kill you like a dog. Lin Xian said coldly. The minor saint snorted. Young man, this is the real world. There's no such thing as the same level. I've lived longer than you. That's my capital. So no matter what you say, you won't be able to escape. Hee, is being stronger than me a capital? Old fart, if you hide in a place and secretly spend the rest of your life, you might even be able to enjoy your old age. But, you don't know what's good for you and came to provoke me. Fine, I'll let you experience what it means to be strong. Lin Xian's eyes burst out with a crazy light as he said this. In the next moment, the great sage Dharma idol was taken out again. The great sage Dharma idol. Although it was the dead great sage, its aura was too terrifying. As soon as it appeared, even the zombie-like minor saint's expression changed. Extremely terrifying lightning burst out from his eyes. That was the great sage Dharma idol. You actually have such a thing. That was really surprising. A fiery greed appeared in his eyes. I wanted to capture you and ask you about the whereabouts of the great emperor's inheritance. But before I could say anything, you gave me another big gift. Well then, this great sage Dharma idol and Yan Nanshan's inheritance, I want them both. Even now, you're still so greedy. Do you still have the life to take them? Lin Xian snorted and pushed the great sage Dharma idol with all his strength. He summoned the righteous chi of heaven and earth to move the Dharma idol. The great sage Dharma idol trembled slightly, and the righteous chi on its body burst out. Bright moon above the sea. Lin Xian relied on the righteous chi and the power of the great sage Dharma idol to create a vision of heaven and earth. The endless sea drowned the thunder, and a bright moon rose from the sea, shattering all the thunder. You're courting death. The minor saint roared. Monstrous killing intent pierced through the clouds, and a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. So what if his opponent had the great sage Dharma idol? Although he was not as strong as the great sage, that was only when compared to the real great sage. His opponent was just a Dharma idol, a first heavenly layer cultivator. He could not withstand a single blow. It was easy for him to kill his opponent. The terrifying thunder turned into countless hands of thunder, sweeping in all directions and resisting the bright moon above the sea. In the end, the bright moon above the sea was shattered. However, his face was gloomy. He found that his opponent had escaped and disappeared without a trace. He could not see his opponent's aura? How was that possible? A first heavenly layer saint was like an ant in front of him. But now, that ant had disappeared into thin air? Just now, it only took him an instant to shatter the bright moon above the sea. No matter how fast his opponent was, where could he escape to? Thunder appeared. The minor saint activated his saint domain of thunder, and shattered all the worlds that he could cover. The huge black hole was extremely dark, as if the whole sky had sunk. However, there was still no sign of anyone. This scene made the minor saint's face even gloomier. His eyes were like golden suns, looking in all directions. Souls also appeared in an overwhelming manner. At this moment he was really angry. He had used all his strength, but still he could not find anything. Ah! He roared to the sky. The people around him all gathered around. It was the Supreme Elder. Their faces were full of shock. They did not see Lin Woody's figure, only an angry Supreme Elder roaring to the sky. Could it be that the Supreme Elder did not succeed? Chapter 34:12. From now on, lock down the entire stellar realm. He won't be able to escape if we track him down with all our might. The little saint said coldly. Yes, we'll do it now. The experts of Vermilion Bird Palace hurriedly took action. How could they not be angry? Yannantion was dead. Their pillar of support was gone? However, they had to keep the great emperor's inheritance. This way, they still had a glimmer of hope. In an instant, the Vermilion Bird Palace's actions became even faster. On the other side, Lin Xian appeared in the void. His face was a little pale. Just now, he used the great sage Dharma idol to take a blow from the little saint, and then used a secret technique to escape. Although he had temporarily escaped the pursuit of the little saint, he didn't look too good. Even the little saint had attacked. He didn't know what the Vermilion Bird Palace had waiting for him. It seemed that he had to return to the Langia Star to lie low for a while. He wanted to leave, but he found that there was an inescapable net around him. Countless people were patrolling and formations were flashing. Moreover, everyone from the Vermilion Bird Palace had a voice transmission token on them. Even if they were killed instantly, they could still send a message. Lin Xian had no choice but to force his way through. He killed thousands of Vermilion Bird Palace's experts in a row, and was about to break out. However, another little saint came again, forcing him to change his direction again. Lin Xian originally hid in the deep mountains and forests. He didn't know what kind of deal the Vermilion Bird Palace's people had made with the monsters in the mountains. Those monsters had also started to help him search. He had no choice but to leave the mountains and prepare to go to the city. There were many people in the city, and people's minds were very complicated. He should be able to fool them for a while. Just like that, Lin Xian came to a huge city called the City of Raging Fire. This was a city very far away from the Vermilion Bird Palace. It was temporarily safe here. However, not long after Lin Xian entered, the entire city was locked down. Countless Vermilion Bird Palace's martial artists formed many teams and came over. There were even 4 ancient mirrors hanging on the 4 sides of the city gate. It was said that these were demon-revealing mirrors that could create a person's body. In this way, it was impossible to disguise oneself. What on earth happened? The martial artists in the city were all stunned. What was the Vermilion Bird Palace searching for? Could it be that something big had happened? At this moment, the news of Yannanshan's death had yet to spread. Furthermore, the Vermilion Bird Palace had forcefully suppressed it. There was nothing they could do about it. If news of this spread out, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. At that time, they would not be able to do anything. It was likely that the experts of other worlds, as well as the family forces, would come to attack them. Therefore, it was best to hide as much as possible. The people of Vermilion Bird Palace wouldn't say anything either. They would only say that they were capturing Lin Wudi. Anyone who reported the news would be rewarded handsomely. After hearing this, the people in the city sucked in a breath of cold air. Chase after Lin Wudi. Heavens, is Vermilion Bird Palace really going to use such ruthless methods to get rid of this peerless genius? Was he paving the way for Yannantion? Lin Xian sneered as he blended into the crowd. Since the city was sealed, they would stay in the city for the time being. Just like that, Lin Xian found an inn and stayed for the time being. He kept a very low profile. After entering the inn, he set up a formation, and then silently cultivated to deal with the great battle that could happen at any time. At the same time, in the City of Raging Fire, there was another majestic mansion. It was completely different. There was no sign of nervousness here at all. On the contrary, it was full of joy. The surroundings were even decorated with lanterns and banners, and hung with the word "She." It seemed that something good was about to happen in this mansion. The people in the surrounding city couldn't go out, so they could only go to this mansion to congratulate it. They knew that the owner of this mansion was from a very powerful family. In this family, there was a genius who had entered Vermilion Bird Palace to cultivate. It could be said that this was the family of the genius of Vermilion Bird Palace. Therefore, even if the people of Vermilion Bird Palace were on high alert, this family would not be affected at all. And at this moment, that genius younger brother was going to marry a new bride. That bride's background was not simple either. However, compared to Vermilion Bird Palace, her background was much worse. Moreover, it was said that this wedding was carried out using tyrannical methods. That was because the bride's family was simply unwilling. But before the background of Vermilion Bird Palace, who would dare to refuse? Thus, the bride's family simply did not dare to resist. But yesterday something happened. That bride actually ran away from the wedding. She used some sort of secret technique to directly escape. At the Breeze Tavern. This was a very unremarkable tavern in a corner of the city. Generally, people with strength and status would not stay here. At this moment, another figure appeared in front of the inn. It was a person wearing a black robe. He was very low-key. After he entered, he asked for a room. "Dear guest, you've come at the right time. This is the last room." At this moment, Raging Fire City has already been sealed. Apart from the last room, it was simply impossible to find another room. Enough with the superfluous words, quickly bring me there. Very well. The waiter did not expect this person to have such a bad temper. However, the money that this person had paid was sufficient to make him beam with joy. Thus he did not mind at all. After bringing this person in, the waiter left. After entering, the other party struck out a few seals. This room did not seem to have any abnormalities. However, in the room next to it, a figure opened his eyes. This figure was precisely Lin Xian. He also stayed in this crazy tavern. At this moment, his eyes were flickering. Naturally, he could hear the sound of the formation seal in the room next to him just now. However, he shook his head and did not pay attention to it. Which martial artist did not set up a set of formation when cultivating, in case something unexpected happened? Thus, he did not think too much about it. Half a day later, the entire crazy tavern was surrounded by people. He was surrounded by countless experts. Standing at the forefront was a man wearing a bright red robe. His face was cold. Beside him, there were countless experts following. Young master. Raging Fire City has already been sealed. No one can leave. That woman must be hiding in the city. We've searched all the places except for this tavern. He must be inside. That damned bitch actually dared to escape. Search for her. Catch her and see how we'll play her to death. That red-robed young master coldly shouted. Immediately, a large number of experts moved out. One of them directly grabbed the waiter and asked coldly, "Recently, did anyone come over? Especially women." The waiter was so scared that his whole body trembled, and he pissed his pants. There was no woman, but today a black-robed man came. His attitude was very bad. "I don't know if he's the person you're looking for." Where was she? Lead the way. There was no other way. He could only lead the way. The entire tavern was surrounded by countless experts. Those people in the tavern were all awakened. They were originally not very strong and had no status. For a moment, being surrounded by so many experts, they were so scared that they pissed their pants and did not dare to resist. Chapter 34:13. That shouldn't be the case. He had hidden himself very carefully. The people of the Vermilion Bird Palace couldn't have such means. Moreover, most of the people who came were half-saints. There were also many people who were close to the Tao. Such a lineup wanted to capture him? What a joke. The people of the Vermilion Bird Palace wouldn't be so stupid. Even if they really found him, they would immediately inform the saints or even small saints to come and capture him. Therefore, these people were not here for him. Could it be that there were other people in this and who had offended some faction? Lin Xian frowned. The situation was not good. Buzz. Suddenly Lin Xian was stunned. He felt that something was attacking his array formation. Immediately after, a figure rushed over. He was shocked. Could it be that those people outside were an illusion, and the real powerhouse had quietly come to capture him? One had to know that the array formation he had set up was very sturdy, but this person could break it in an instant. Was it a small saint? He instantly became aggressive, and the killing intent in his heart was about to explode. But then he was stunned. He felt that the aura was somewhat familiar. It was the aura of the person who had just stayed next to him. After that person woke up, he said, "Friend, may I borrow your place? Don't worry, I will avenge you." As he said that, he took out a storage ring. There were 500 kilograms of immortal state in it. It was enough for you. As long as you don't speak, I can guarantee your safety. Although the voice was low and hoarse, Lin Xian's soul was very sharp. He instantly realized that it was a woman. Could it be that those people outside were here to capture her? It seemed that he was right. He guessed correctly. They were not here for him. However, there were many people being hunted down every day. Lin Xian didn't intend to do anything. Besides, he couldn't expose himself now. He just nodded and didn't say anything. The woman wanted to leave quickly through the window, but in the next moment, she screamed. Then countless powerful auras descended from the surroundings. The entire inn was torn down and split into pieces. On Lin Xian's side, many large cracks appeared on the house. Lin Xian immediately removed the array formation. The array formation was too exquisite. Those people would be suspicious if they saw it. So he put it away. As for the woman, she screamed. Damn it, he was actually so fast. Ha 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 ha. B*TC run. Below, the young master in red sneered. You can't escape from my palm. The woman in black turned her head. Although her face could not be seen clearly, there was a trace of exasperation in her voice. If it wasn't for the fact that Raging Fire City was suddenly sealed and so many Vermilion Bird Palace experts came, I would have escaped long ago. How could he have been captured by you? To be honest, she was really mad because she didn't know why the Raging Fire City was sealed, and no one was allowed to leave. But when she was sealed, she didn't plan to escape. If I catch you, I'll play you to death. The mysterious woman snorted. You're trash. You only know how to rely on your family. What else do you have? Don't you have a lot of women who have been played by you? I won't marry you, so you should give up on this idea as soon as possible. Won't marry me? It's not up to you now. Someone catch her. The surrounding experts walked up with sneers. They sealed the space with a strong aura. The woman in black trembled and took 2 steps back. She was near Lin Xian. At that moment, the surrounding experts saw Lin Xian and frowned. Kid, who are you? Are you an accomplice? Because Lin Xian was also wearing a black robe, he was naturally considered an accomplice. Lin Xian frowned slightly, but before he could say anything, the woman in black next to him said, He's not my accomplice. He just lives next door. So he doesn't know anything. Let him go. Let him go. Dream on. The young master in red sneered. He lives next door, but he didn't report it and hid the news. That's a capital offense in front of me. Looking at his cultivation, he's just an ant. We'll kill him together. The young master in red doesn't seem to care about human lives at all. Don't worry, young master. He's just an ant. I can kill him in an instant. The 4 experts stopped Lin Xian and smiled coldly. Kid, you can only blame yourself for being unlucky. Next time, when you're reincarnated, be careful and don't go against our young master. One of them exuded a powerful aura. He was a half-saint. This aura made the woman in black tremble even more violently. She came to Lin Xian's side and said softly, I'm sorry for dragging you into this. I'll attack you with all my might. If you have a chance to escape, do so. I'm really sorry. She apologized again. At that moment, the half-sage's palm in the sky was slapping down with terrifying flames. The woman in black had no choice but to take it head-on. She also slapped out a big black palm, but she was forced back in an instant and spat out a mouthful of blood. The big flaming hand descended from the sky and wrapped around her and Lin Xian. It's over. The woman in black looked desperate. She thought she could escape this time, but she fell into the hands of her opponent again. She could imagine that her life would be worse than death from now on. In that case, she might as well kill herself. She wanted to kill herself, but at that moment, a hand landed on her shoulder, preventing her from doing so. As for his other hand, he gently pointed to the front with his finger. Boom. The flaming hand fell wildly with an unparalleled aura. The surrounding people sneered. Nothing unexpected would happen when a half-sage attacked. However, the half-saint who had attacked screamed miserably. His flaming palm was injured. It was covered with cracks like a mirror. Then it broke open with a loud bang. Blood splattered and dyed the void red. Ah! The miserable scream made people's scalps tingle. The surrounding people's minds went blank. What happened? Their half-sage was injured. How is that possible? Does that woman have such a method? The woman in black was stunned. She didn't expect that someone would help her when she was in despair. Moreover, he broke the half-sage's attack with one blow. And this person was the person beside her. Is this person an expert? She was too shocked. She looked at Lin Xian with a face full of surprise. Chapter 34:14. Damn it, what are you doing? Catch him. The man in red roared madly behind them. The other 3 experts also looked at the injured half-saint. What's going on? They didn't see what happened at all. The injured expert's expression was unusually cold. Could it be that the damned woman's strength had suddenly increased? Or did she have a Dharma treasure? From beginning to end he had not noticed Lin Xian at all. Because as far as he was concerned, Lin Xian was merely an ant. After Lin Xian attacked, he sighed in his heart. He knew that this matter wouldn't end well. These people definitely wouldn't stop. So it was only a matter of time before he was exposed. He said to the woman in black next to him, "You don't have to apologize to me because you didn't get me into trouble. On the contrary, I got you into trouble. You'll have a chance to escape later." The woman in black was stunned. What does he mean? She said that to him before. Is he also being hunted and his enemy is more powerful than the family of the man in red? She really couldn't understand. Suddenly she was stunned. Could it be that the city of raging fire was sealed because of this person? She was completely stunned at the thought of this. At this moment, the injured half-saint in front of them attacked again. Not only him, but the other half-saint also attacked. They did it just in case. 2 giant palms with tremendous seals loomed over Qin Nan. The woman in black was still stunned and didn't come back to her senses. Lin Xian waved his hand and a sharp sword qi slashed in all directions, immediately cutting off the arms of the 2 half-saints. When the miserable screams sounded, everyone finally saw clearly. It wasn't the woman in black who attacked, but the young man next to her. How is this possible? They screamed crazily. Isn't he an ant? How can he be so powerful? Why did he attack? Lin Xian didn't intend to hold back. He waved his sword qi again and killed the 2 injured half-saints. The other 2 half-saints were scared out of their wits. Who is he? They frantically retreated, but in an instant, their glabella split open, and they were instantly killed. Even before they died, they couldn't figure out who they had offended. The 4 experts fell to the ground in the blink of an eye. Behind him, the red-robed man and his clan members were all shocked, and unconsciously took a step back. The red-robed man felt his scalp go numb. Who was the other party? 4 experts had been killed instantly. Damn it, who exactly were you? Lin Xian ignored the man and looked up at the sky. It was time to leave. Although the black-robed woman didn't know who Lin Xian was, she still said, "Here are 3 void formation abodes. Take them. You might be able to save your life." With that, she handed everything over to Lin Xian. Lin Xian was startled. He wanted to return it, but the red-robed young master suddenly roared. "Let me tell you, my family is very powerful. My brother is a genius of Vermilion Bird Palace. He's in Roaring Flame City right now. Kneel down obediently, kowtow to me, and admit your mistake. Otherwise I'll tear you to pieces." Noisy. Lin Xian waved his hand, forming 2 storms that slashed forward. "Young master, be careful." The 2 elders beside him roared and hurriedly attacked. However, they were split in half in an instant. In the end, the red-clothed young master was pulled away by someone to avoid this terrifying wind blade. A pitch-black crack appeared where he was originally standing. It couldn't be healed at all. The red-robed man trembled all over. His lower body was soaked. He had wet his pants from fear. What kind of person was this? He was too strong. Hurry, get my brother here. Let my brother kill him. He couldn't resist at all. Perhaps only the experts of Vermilion Bird Palace could take him down. The people beside him said, "Young master, don't worry. We've already informed the young master." Sure enough, as soon as the voice rang out, a group of people rushed over from the distance. The auras of these people were incomparably powerful. The person in the lead was a man. They were all from Vermilion Bird Palace. The red-robed man's sword arrived. The mighty leader immediately exclaimed, "Brother, I'm here. Someone wants to kill me. Hurry up and help me kill him. Who dares to attack my brother?" The leader of the group, the genius man, shouted coldly. His voice was like thunder. In the next moment, when he saw Lin Xian, he frowned. Then he seemed to have thought of something and turned to run. The surrounding people were stunned. Ran away. Their young master, the genius of Vermilion Bird Palace, actually ran away? What the hell is going on? The red-robed young master was also stunned. Brother, why are you leaving? Hurry up and kill this kid. Before he could finish, he saw Lin Xian wave his hand. A sword chi enveloped the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The Vermilion Bird Palace team was enveloped in it. Then miserable screams sounded. Those people were chopped into pieces. The elder brother that he was so proud of also had his head chopped into pieces. What? Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were all dumbfounded. The Vermilion Bird Palace team was instantly killed by the other party. Who was this person? Was he a saint? At that moment, they all retreated. The red-robed man also screamed. Impossible. My brother is a genius. Although he was a half-step saint, he was also very powerful. In his heart, he was simply a godlike existence. Their family could flaunt their prowess because of his brother. Now his brother was actually instantly killed. Damn it, Lin Wudi, you really are here. In the distance, more experts rushed over, roaring crazily. The others went crazy. Lin Wudi, the person in front of them, was actually Lin Wudi. The black-robed woman's heart trembled. It was indeed him. She looked at the figure in front of her. She had long guessed that the other party was very likely the one who caused Blaze City to be sealed. Vermilion Bird Palace was after Lin Wudi. Now it seemed that it was indeed him. In front, the red-robed young master knelt on the ground with a plop. Lin Wudi, he actually dared to attack Lin Wudi. He really didn't know what was good for him. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian sneered. Golden light surged from his body, and a terrifying divine body suppressed in all directions. Since he had been recognized, then he didn't plan on hiding anymore. With a wave of his hand, sword chi flew out, cleaving the red-robed young master in half. The surrounding red-robed family members were all split apart. Only the black-robed woman was able to survive. Buzz. Lin Xian stomped his foot and charged into the sky. The sealed formation was shattered by his punch. Then Lin Xian left Blaze City and flew into the distance. Lin Wudi, you can't escape. In the distance, the Vermilion Bird Palace martial artists chased madly. In the ruins below, the black-robed woman looked at the person above in shock. This was the peerless expert, Lin Wudi? He was indeed too strong. These families that she couldn't defeat in her eyes were annihilated in the blink of an eye. Chapter 34:15. The warriors in the surrounding ruins and the city trembled when they saw this scene. It was their fortune to be able to see Lin Wudi in action. This was enough for them to brag about for the rest of their lives. Lin Xian didn't stop after leaving Raging Flame City. He knew that the Vermilion Bird Palace's experts were on their way. As expected, the 6 saints of the Vermilion Bird Palace worked together to set up the 6-pointed Vermilion Bird formation. It enveloped Lin Xian and sealed him within. This formation was extremely terrifying. It was an ancient formation passed down from the ancient times of Vermilion Bird Palace. Now it was being used to seal everything. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, he couldn't break it. Ha 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 ha, kid. Let's see how you're going to escape. The 6 saints roared with laughter. In the distance, more Vermilion Bird Palace experts arrived and surrounded them. They laughed. The 6-pointed Vermilion Bird formation wasn't something a first heaven saint could break. Even a second heaven saint couldn't break it. Although they couldn't kill him, they just needed to trap him for a while. When their minor saints arrived, they could destroy him. Within the formation, the Vermilion Bird phantoms circled around, creating a powerful firestorm. Lin Xian attacked a few times and frowned. The formation was very strong and endless. It would be difficult to break it in a short time. Should I use the left hand of the demon? Lin Xian's eyes flashed. There was another way, and that was to ask He Shan. He Shan said, "Didn't the woman in black give you 3 formation talismans? You can try." 3 formation talismans? Lin Xian was taken aback. To be honest, he didn't take it to heart. What did He Shan mean? Forget it, let's try. He immediately took out a formation talisman and poured power into it. The array talisman instantly stuck to his body. In the next instant, Lin Xian felt a mysterious force carrying him toward the vanguard. In an instant, he charged out of the six-pointed vermilion bird formation. What's going on? Lin Xian was stunned. He flew quickly without stopping. The laughter of the vermilion bird palace people stopped abruptly. Their minds went blank as they watched this scene. Why did the other party suddenly leave? What was going on? The six-pointed vermilion bird formation wasn't broken? Damn it, chase after him. They didn't know what had happened, but they could only chase after it. Lin Xian was incomparably shocked. This talisman was too useful. It could actually allow one to escape from such a terrifying array in an instant. But soon he frowned. Something wasn't right. The talisman was so powerful, so why didn't that mysterious woman run away? Brat, you don't understand, do you? Who are you? You're a fiend. Even the saints of the Vermilion Bird Palace are like ants in your hands. But that woman was different. She couldn't even defeat a half-sage. Even if he could use the array talisman to escape, it would definitely attract the attention of others. She might even attract the attention of the Vermilion Bird Palace. At that time, what awaits her would be an endless pursuit. So do you think she dares? That's true. Lin Xian nodded, but when he thought about it, he felt relieved. From the looks of it, this should be his reward for saving the other party. Indeed, if he hadn't taken action, the black-clothed woman would have been dead. He helped, and out of gratitude, the black-clothed woman gave him 3 escape items. Kindness really did beget kindness. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. He still had 2 array talismans in his hand. In other words, he could still escape the pursuit of 2 subgrade arrays. Next, Lin Xian used another array talisman to escape another fatal blow. But gradually he stopped using it because there were saints all around him. He could only go in one direction. The more he flew, the more familiar he became. This was the Valley of Devil Cultivation. He didn't hesitate and directly rushed into the valley. Behind him, the Vermilion Bird Palace people stopped. They densely surrounded the Valley of Devil Cultivation. But no one dared to enter. Their expressions became somewhat unsightly. Damn it, how dare that guy go in? He had just returned from the Void Ocean, and probably didn't know what happened here. What should they do? Should they go in and capture him? What kind of joke was this? The Vermilion Bird Palace experts felt their scalps go numb. They didn't dare to enter. There was no other way. They could only wait here. Not long after, 2 powerful figures arrived. They were the 2 Grand Elders. They were like dried corpses, but their auras were unparalleled. They were 2 minor saints. After they arrived, they frowned. Could it be that the kid had entered the Valley of Devil Cultivation? Reporting to the Grand Elders, that kid has indeed entered the Valley of Devil Cultivation. The surrounding cultivators quickly responded. After the 2 Grand Elders heard this, their faces turned cold. That damn guy really didn't know what was good for him. They didn't dare to enter rashly. Logically speaking, this scene was really strange. The Valley of Devil Cultivation was the training ground of the Vermilion Bird Palace. Lin Xian and a few other geniuses had entered before. But now these saints didn't dare to enter? One had to know that Lin Xian and the others were only half-saints at that time. In fact, something had happened in the Valley of Devil Cultivation. Some time ago, there was a sudden change in the Valley of Devil Cultivation. The Vermilion Bird Palace people entered, but there was no follow-up. In the end, they sent a saint, but the saint disappeared. In the end, they could only invite a Grand Elder, who was also a minor saint. Before he even stepped into the Valley of Devil Cultivation, he was split in half by an aura. This scared the minor saint so much that he ran back. Even now, his injuries hadn't healed yet. This scene caused an uproar in the Vermilion Bird Palace. The palace master of the Vermilion Bird Palace quickly checked the ancient records and found some clues. It turned out that in the legends of the Vermilion Bird Palace, the Valley of Devil Cultivation was a terrifying place of death that no one dared to enter. There lived an extremely terrifying existence. But for some reason, that place suddenly became less dangerous in the past few thousand years. Many people went in. Gradually, that legend disappeared. But now the minor saint was instantly injured. This made the people of the Vermilion Bird Palace realize that the legend still existed. For some reason, the Valley of Devil Cultivation had become a forbidden place of death. No one could enter. That was why the people of the Vermilion Bird Palace were wandering outside. Even the 2 minor saints didn't dare to enter, because they had also read the ancient records. The terrifying existence that was sealed in the legends was very likely a Saint King. A Saint King was an extremely powerful existence. They were much stronger than minor saints like them. One glance from a Saint King could probably kill them. So even if they were given 10,000 guts, they wouldn't dare to enter. But they were unwilling because the other party had countless secrets. They had 2 great inheritances and the Great Destruction Spear. More importantly, the other party had killed Yin Nantian. But they didn't find anything left behind by Yin Nantian. Yin Nantian was the successor of the Great Emperor. After his death, his storage ring and the Great Emperor's inheritance should have fallen. Chapter 34:16. Thinking of this, their eyes turned red. Damn it. That brat will definitely die if he goes in. He might come out immediately. Is that why you guys are guarding here? They were waiting here. However, after 10 days they frowned. No one came out. The Valley of Devil Cultivation was still eerily quiet. Could it be that the brat is dead? The 2 minor saints had ordered them to send people to guard the exits of the Valley of Devil Cultivators and keep an eye on the situation. If he comes out, they should report it immediately. Even if he is dead, it doesn't matter. After all, he will die in the Valley of Devil Cultivation. The item is in the Valley of Devil Cultivation. We will go back and study it carefully. After saying this, the 2 minor saints went back. The surrounding people formed an inescapable net and surrounded the Valley of Devil Cultivation to prevent anyone from coming out. Next, the people of Vermilion Bird Palace stood in 4 directions and monitored the Valley of Devil Cultivation to prevent the brat from escaping. After Lin Xian landed in the Valley of Devil Cultivation, he didn't stop. He was going to find a place to hide. He remembered the devil pool last time. He felt that he could use it again. However, he soon frowned. What's going on? No one is chasing after me? He looked around and checked with his soul. He found that the people of Vermilion Bird Palace stopped outside the Valley of Devil Cultivation. What's going on? Could it be that they gave up? Lin Xian was shocked. However, he thought that it shouldn't be. How could Vermilion Bird Palace give up chasing after him? Could it be because of other reasons? He couldn't figure it out. If they didn't give up, then there was only one possibility. They were afraid of this place. They didn't dare to cultivate in the Valley of Devil Cultivation. What's in the Valley of Devil Cultivation? He was even more shocked. It wasn't the first time he entered the Valley of Devil Cultivation. They could enter when they were half-step saints. Now even Vermilion Bird Palace sent a minor saint. Why didn't they dare to enter? What a joke. However, at this time the great sage of Black Mountain said, "Brat, be careful. I feel that the aura here is unusual. It seems that there is something extraordinary." Something extraordinary. Lin Xian was stunned. Could it be that something unexpected happened in the Valley of Devil Cultivation? Has it become a very dangerous place? And Vermilion Bird Palace had once suffered a loss here. Thinking of this possibility, Lin Xian gasped. It seemed that this was the only explanation. However, he was very curious. What exactly was the change? He didn't know, but now that the people of Vermilion Bird Palace didn't dare to come in, he could just recuperate here. Perhaps he could even cultivate here. At that moment, Lin Xian was near the Fiend Pool. He found a place to sit down cross-legged, turned his palms towards the sky, and began cultivating the laws. Originally, the Devil Cultivation Valley was already a bit dark, and at night, it was even more foggy. Even the moon couldn't be seen. Lin Xian opened his eyes amidst the eerie aura. He furrowed his brows tightly. This place was indeed unusual. There seemed to be some demonic shadows moving around him. Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved his hand, shattering the few black shadows that were near him. Those shadows kept rolling and twisting on the ground, letting out sharp screams. Countless shadows flickered, wanting to devour Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted. The 5 elemental laws turned into chains and wrapped around his body, suppressing everything. The surrounding shadows didn't dare to approach. He didn't expect that someone would dare to come in. At that moment, a faint voice sounded. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian felt a chill run down his spine. He instantly stood up and looked around. Who was it? Who was playing tricks here? Damn it, this valley of devil cultivation had indeed changed. Such a gloomy voice. Could it be the people of Vermilion Bird Palace? No, if it was the Vermilion Bird Palace, they would have already made a move. They wouldn't scare him like this. His face was gloomy and his divine body emitted light like a sun. However, this valley of devil cultivation was too strange. It could only illuminate a few meters around him. Any further, and it couldn't illuminate anything. It was no wonder that he dared to come here. However, this little bit of cultivation was not enough to deal with him. Was it the Vermilion Bird Palace? Were they still unwilling to give up? This voice was even colder than before. Moreover, Lin Xian couldn't tell where it came from. It seemed that this was an expert. Thinking of this, Lin Xian took a deep breath. I was chased by the Vermilion Bird Palace, and was forced to come here. I didn't know that Senior was resting here, and disturbed you. Please forgive me. Senior, please don't worry. Junior has already left and won't disturb you. With that, Lin Xian turned around to leave. You want to leave just like that? Just as Lin Xian turned around, a faint voice came from behind him. This time, Lin Xian heard it not far behind him. His body stiffened and he turned around. A mysterious rune appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, he saw it. A person was leaning against a tree near the devil altar. She was a slender woman with long black hair that reached her waist. She was beautiful and had a hint of seduction. She stretched out her slender hand and held a flower between her fingers. It was a white flower as white as jade. Compared to the surrounding blackness, it looked extremely strange. Was this the person? Lin Xian was extremely surprised. Was this the mysterious expert? However, it didn't look like it. It was an extremely beautiful and mysterious woman. Seeing the dazed look in Lin Xian's eyes, the mysterious woman turned her head around and flashed him a smile. Was it beautiful? Buzz. Lin Xian quickly retracted his gaze. He felt his soul stirring. Wasn't this person too terrifying? Just her voice alone had almost caused his soul to sink. Fortunately, his willpower was strong, and he had the great dragon sword soul. Otherwise, if it were any other first heaven sage, their souls would have been scattered and their bodies and souls would have been destroyed. I was too abrupt. Lin Xian hurriedly retracted his gaze. He wasn't affected at all. The mysterious woman in front became even more curious. Her gaze carried a trace of demonic light. She looked at him with great interest. Little kid, you look very young. You actually reached the sage realm at such a young age. Moreover, it's rare to see such a strong soul. Tell me, what's your identity? Senior, you flatter me. With my cultivation level, I can't even withstand a single blow from you. Lin Xian smiled and shook his head. Was this person probing him? He wasn't stupid enough to say everything. Sigh, another dishonest fellow. Since that's the case, you can stay here and accompany me. I'm quite bored here anyway. The mysterious woman said faintly. Lin Xian quickly shook his head. I won't disturb you any longer. I still have things to do. Goodbye. Chapter 34:17. Right now, he would rather face the Vermilion Bird Palace's sage than this mysterious woman. Seeing this scene, the mysterious woman didn't say anything. Instead, she gently swayed the white demonic flower in her hand. Those white petals danced in the air and turned into countless rays of light that flew towards Lin Xian. In an instant, it cut off his path. Lin Xian's movement technique was very good. He instantly changed his direction. However, no matter where he went, there was a white flower in front of him. Moreover, the aura of those white petals was too terrifying. His instincts told him that he couldn't take it head-on. Therefore, Lin Xian could only follow the path that the other party had set for him and retreat step by step. He once again arrived near the demonic pond. He sighed. Senior, I really didn't mean to disturb you. I hope that Senior can be magnanimous. Hee. After hearing this, the mysterious woman suddenly laughed. Her laughter was very beautiful. However, in Lin Xian's eyes, it was just hair. He asked, "Senior, why are you laughing?" The mysterious woman laughed. "I'm laughing because you're stupid. How many times have you called me senior? Unfortunately, I'm the same age as you." "What? The same age?" Lin Xian was stunned. "Could it be that you're also from the younger generation? How is that possible? She's so strange and her methods are so terrifying. How can she be from the younger generation?" Seeing Lin Xian's astonished expression, the mysterious woman immediately laughed. "Why? You don't believe me? Then do you think I'm very old? To tell you the truth, I might be older than you, but we're definitely from the same generation. As for my strength, I might be stronger than you, because my family's origin is very strong. Therefore, I'm not a senior. I'm here to explore the Devil Cultivation Valley. However, there's a change in the valley. Therefore, I can't leave after entering. Do you think that I can leave just because I didn't stop you just now? Why don't you try and see if you can walk out now? What's going on? I really can't leave the Devil Cultivation Valley." Lin Xian tried and suddenly felt that something was wrong. Indeed, there seemed to be an illusion formation around him. Moreover, it was very exquisite. He walked a few steps and almost got lost. If it wasn't for the white flower that brought him back, Lin Xian wouldn't have been able to return to the Devil's Pool. "So do you believe me now? It was easy to enter the Devil Cultivation Valley, but difficult to leave. I've been trapped for a while now." "Then what did you mean when you mentioned the Vermilion Bird Palace?" Lin Xian asked again. The mysterious woman smiled. "About that, when I came here, I also met people from the Vermilion Bird Palace. They seemed to be searching as well. At that time, there was a bit of conflict. However, all of the people from the Vermilion Bird Palace that entered were killed by the demonic shadows. It turned out to be like this." Lin Xian took a deep breath. If that was the case, then it would be troublesome. This woman's strength was not weaker than his, but she was still unable to leave. Then, wouldn't he be unable to leave as well? The woman smiled and said, "No, I can't go out because I can't break the formation here. Because what I'm cultivating is a bit similar to the demonic sect. The aura here is very similar. I'm also here to look for opportunities. You're different. Just now when I saw your physique, it should be the type of extreme yang that counters demonic qi. You're the most suitable person to break the formation. As long as you break the formation, the two of us will be able to escape." Break the formation? Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he looked around. This formation was not simple. If he wanted to break it, it would probably take a lot of time. It seemed that they would not be able to leave in a short period of time. The woman said, "It won't take too long. Although I cultivate the demonic Tao, I'm not a cultivator. Although I'm cultivating the Devil Cultivation Valley, I've still found a few flaws during this period of time. As long as you follow my method, I guarantee that we will be able to leave within 3 days." "Oh, what flaws?" This formation was set up with heaven, earth, black, and yellow as the foundation. Therefore, there were 4 key points of the formation in the 4 directions. As long as one of them is broken, the balance of the formation will be completely broken. Then we will be able to leave. As she spoke, she stretched out her slender fingers and pointed in the 4 directions. As she pointed, 4 lights lit up in the 4 directions. Use your physique to attack any one of them. As long as you can blast it away, we will be able to leave. A peerless formation formed with heaven, earth, black, and yellow as the foundation. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. With his back facing the mysterious woman, he opened his heavenly secret divine eyes and looked at the 4 lights. In the next moment he was stunned. Under the heavenly secret divine eyes, he seemed to see through everything. There were 4 stone steels where the 4 lights were. These 4 stone steels had the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise engraved on them. 4 divine beasts in heaven, earth, black, and yellow. This was not an ordinary formation. Lin Xian was shocked. What was this valley of devil cultivation hiding? Why did it need such a formation to suppress it? But at this moment, the mysterious woman spoke again. What are you hesitating for? Don't you want to leave? Fine, I'll give it a try. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He really did want to leave. His body shone brightly as he prepared to attack. However, at this moment he inadvertently saw a trace of hope in the mysterious woman's eyes. What kind of light was that? Although it was only for a moment, Lin Xian clearly captured it with his heavenly secret divine eyes. Something was wrong. Lin Xian was shocked. That gaze was too strange. It did not look like she had been trapped for a few months. It was as if she had been trapped for thousands of years. She was too anxious. At the same time, a ball of doubt rose in his heart. Was this woman really like him, a peerless genius from the outside world who was trapped here? The aura on her body gave him a creepy feeling, especially the great dragon sword soul in his body. It also looked as if it was facing a great enemy. This surprised him greatly. When he faced a small saint, he did not have such a reaction. Could it be that there was something wrong with this woman? Thinking of this, Lin Xian withdrew his hand and did not attack again. The mysterious woman behind him was also stunned. What's wrong? What's wrong? Oh, I was chased by the Vermilion Bird Palace and consumed a lot of energy. Let me recover for a while. With that, Lin Xian directly found a place, sat down and was about to cultivate. He wanted to see what was so strange about this mysterious woman. As soon as he sat down, the mysterious woman said, "Cultivate? I have something that can help you recover. Why don't you use it?" She directly threw out a black fruit. The fruit was pitch black and covered with patterns that crawled like a poisonous snake. Lin Xian was shocked when he saw it. 10,000-year-old black serpent fruit. This was a very rare spirit fruit. Although it looked black and poisonous, it was really not poisonous at all. Moreover, its recovery effect was surprisingly good, not to mention that it was a 10,000-year-old fruit. Chapter 34:18. Lin Xian accepted it without hesitation and swallowed it. He wasn't afraid of being poisoned. The great dragon sword soul could destroy any poison. Sure enough, it didn't take long for his strength to recover to its peak. Can we begin? The mysterious woman asked again. Lin Xian said, My strength has recovered, but I don't want to go out yet. Because the Vermilion Bird Palace will definitely be guarding outside. If I go out, it'll be like a lamb entering a tiger's den. So I plan to stay here for a while and cultivate. When I'm strong enough, or when the Vermilion Bird Palace loses their patience, I'll leave. Kid, do you really want to stay here forever? The mysterious woman asked in a low voice. Don't worry, I can't stay here forever. After 8 to 10 years, the people outside the Vermilion Bird Palace will lose their patience. Oh, go out, Lin Xian said with a smile. It's just the Vermilion Bird Palace. I don't care about it. Help me break the array, and I'll help you destroy the surrounding Vermilion Bird Palace people. Looks like you're in a hurry to go out. Lin Xian glanced at her and revealed a faint smile. The mysterious woman snorted. Why, don't you want to go out? To be honest, I really don't want to go out now. Lin Xian shrugged and sat back down again. Damn kid. The mysterious woman took a step forward and her aura enveloped Lin Xian. Immediately Lin Xian shuddered. Why? Do you want to force me? I don't want to do this either, but you're the one who forced me. As expected, Lin Xian sneered. The mysterious woman was stunned. Then she said, You saw through me? If that's the case, then it doesn't matter. As long as I catch you, I have 100 ways to make you obediently break the array. She waved her hand and a ray of divine light shot into the sky and swept towards Lin Xian. It was like an immortal binding rope that wanted to bind Lin Xian. Lin Xian quickly retreated and threw out a 5-colored palm with laws revolving around it. With a boom, the divine light collided with each other. However, his 5-colored palm was shattered. Lin Xian was shocked. His opponent was too terrifying. He quickly dodged. Useless brat, you're just an ant in front of me. You can't dodge at all. The mysterious woman revealed a cold smile. Lin Xian frowned. At this moment, Black Mountain said, Brat, it's useless. Use your trump card. She's not an ordinary person. She's a Saint King. Sage King. Lin Xian's pupils suddenly shrank to the size of needles. Previously, He Shan had not spoken at all. He had thought that something had happened to He Shan. Who would have thought that Black Mountain would reveal the crux of the matter at this moment? Sage King. The woman in front of them was actually a sage king that was in existence second only to the great sage. Although Black Mountain was also the great sage, he was only a remnant soul of the great sage. His true strength might not even be as strong as Lin Xian. However, this mysterious woman was different. From the looks of it, it should be a living sage king. Thinking of this, Lin Xian felt that his scalp was about to explode. Damn it, this demon cultivation valley actually has a living sage king. No wonder the small saints of the Vermilion Bird Palace didn't dare to enter. This was definitely an existence that could kill everything in an instant. In the next moment, he was no longer careless. In front of a sage king, there was no way he could escape. With a cold shout, he took out the great sage's Dharma idol and blocked in front of him. Then he channeled his energy into it. With a boom, the great sage's Dharma idol released an aura of righteousness and blocked the attack that was like a divine light. Buzz. The divine light was repelled, and the great sage's Dharma idol shook. Lin Xian's qi and blood were in turmoil, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He hurriedly suppressed it and looked in front of him with a stunned expression. It actually blocked it. The mysterious woman in front of him also revealed a trace of surprise. She looked over with her beautiful eyes. The great sage's Dharma idol. You actually have such a thing. No wonder you can block it. She laughed. If it was the real great sage, I wouldn't be a match for it at all. But a great sage's Dharma idol is nothing in my eyes. As expected of a sage king, she indeed had the confidence to say such words. Lin Xian said coldly as he supported the great sage's Dharma idol with one hand. Oh, you actually know my background? The mysterious woman was surprised, and then she laughed. With that laugh, it was as if the surrounding darkness had disappeared. Since you know, you should cooperate obediently. This way, you'll suffer less. Don't joke around. Since there is a formation here to seal you, it means that you are a very terrifying demon. If I let you out, I don't know how chaotic it will be outside. Besides, after you get out, you might kill me. I won't do such a stupid thing. Also, according to my speculation, although the surrounding formation seal is powerful, it should be used to deal with you. My divine body is of the purest yang, so it is not impossible for me to get out. Kid, you guessed right. I am indeed a sage king, and this array formation is also used to seal me. Those people who entered the Vermilion Bird Palace before were all killed by me. If you want to leave, these formations won't stop you. But can you leave? Although you have the great sage's Dharma idol, it is very easy for me to catch you. As soon as she finished speaking, a terrifying light surged from her body. Instantly, the entire void shattered. Lin Xian's body sank, and he felt as if 10,000 mountains were pressing down on him. His legs couldn't help but tremble, and he wanted to kneel down. Damn it! He roared angrily, and the great dragon sword soul in his body roared, blocking the feeling of wanting to kneel down. At the same time, cold sweat flowed down his head. Was this the power of a sage king? Just her aura alone was enough to make him unable to resist. You can actually block the pressure of a sage king. Interesting. But it's not enough. You are too inexperienced. At this point, the aura on her body became terrifying again. Lin Xian roared angrily and slammed his palm on the great sage's Dharma idol. The great sage's Dharma idol shone brightly, and the righteous qi formed a seal that bombarded in all directions, completely enveloping him. A mere Dharma idol was useless. The mysterious woman pointed with her finger, and endless laws turned into balls of divine chains that entangled the great sage. Instantly, the righteous qi of heaven and earth disappeared. Lin Xian felt the pressure suddenly increase, and he kept retreating from the attacks. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, and the cracks on his body were terrifying. At this moment, a strange white color appeared in the mysterious woman's eyes, like a white vortex. She looked at Lin Xian and said at the same time, "Illusion soul. Not good." When he saw the white pupils in the other party's eyes, Lin Xian's expression changed. This was an illusion. A soul attack, and it was the soul attack of a sage king. He definitely couldn't fall for it. But he was still too late. In an instant he froze there, and his soul seemed to be sucked into the white vortex. Chapter 34:19. The scene was too strange. Lin Xian's body was drenched in cold sweat. He had used the eye technique before. When he activated the heavenly secret divine eyes, his opponent would kneel and become his slave. But now he was facing the same illusion. And the one who used it was the Sage King. Damn it! Lin Xian's eyes suddenly burst with golden light. He had activated the heavenly secret divine eyes to the extreme. Golden flames burned fiercely. At the same time, the great dragon sword soul in his body roared and turned into a dragon shadow, destroying the white vortex. In the next moment, Lin Xian roared. Thousands of sword chi rushed out of his body, and more cracks appeared on his body. But he did not submit, nor was he affected by the illusion. Is this the power of the Sage King? It's really powerful, but I'm not a pushover either. Lin Xian roared. His voice was like a real dragon, resounding in all directions. On the opposite side, the mysterious woman's face darkened. She was furious. A first heaven sage was no different from an ant in front of her. But now this ant dared to jump around in front of her for such a long time? It's time to end this. The white light in her eyes became even more dazzling. The white vortex kept spinning and turned into two white demonic flowers. The golden runes formed by the heavenly secret divine eyes were also shattered. Golden blood flowed out of Lin Xian's eyes. Ah! Lin Xian roared to the sky. The blood in his body boiled. The great dragon sword soul merged with him. And the peerless sword light destroyed everything. Although there were more injuries on his body, he was still not affected by the eye technique. Unless you kill me, you'll never make me submit. Lin Xian's voice was extremely sharp. Seeing this scene, the mysterious woman was also stunned. What a sharp aura. Her eye technique just now seemed to have subdued a small saint. He would become her slave. But the first heaven ant in front of her was unharmed. Although he was injured all over, his eyes were extremely clear. Do you think I don't dare to kill you? A terrifying killing intent appeared on her body, instantly forming a killing array. The 9 heavens and 10 earths were shattering. The Sage King was too powerful. Lin Xian's body was bleeding profusely. He laughed coldly and said, "Fine, then kill me. If you kill me, you can forget about leaving this place for the rest of your life." On the other side, the mysterious woman's face was gloomy. Indeed, one needed to have an extremely masculine physique to break through the formation. It wasn't easy for her to wait for one. If she really killed him now, it would be very troublesome for her to get out again. She might have to wait for another few thousand years. In the next moment, she withdrew her murderous aura. With a wave of his hand, the divine chains of law wrapped around Lin Xian. In an instant, Lin Xian's injuries were healed. Tell me, kid, what are your conditions? Feel free to mention it. What do you think? That's why you're helping me? Lin Xian's face was a little pale. He was really shocked by the strength of a Sage King. With just a lift of his hand, he was able to recover from such serious injuries in an instant. It was truly shocking. After calming himself down, he asked, "Who are you? Why are you sealed here?" If she was a demon, he wouldn't let her out even if he was beaten to death. Otherwise, it wouldn't be just him. Everyone would suffer. I'm old ancestor Dongfang. You wouldn't know my name even if I told you. The mysterious woman said in a deep voice. Her gaze became ancient, as if she had experienced endless years. As for why I'm trapped here, of course, I was framed by despicable and shameless people. That's why I'm sealed here. 38,000 years ago, I became a Sage King and dominated the ancient path of the starry sky. Everyone thought highly of me, and thought that I could enter the great sage realm within 1,000 years. It wasn't impossible for me to become a great emperor in the future. But in the end, I was framed by a few friends. They used the great sage's corpse to make poison, and made me consume it. Then they sealed me in a bronze coffin and sent me to this demonic pool. Then those people set up a peerless formation and sealed this place. Even if I wake up, I'll be trapped here forever. At this point, monstrous killing intent rose from the other party's body again. This time, the killing intent was 100 times stronger than before. That place had completely turned into nothingness. Lin Xian's hair stood on end. Fortunately, the killing intent wasn't directed at him. Otherwise, he would have been killed long ago. At the same time, he was extremely shocked. She was framed? Moreover, it was from 38,000 years ago. Could it be? She had been in a deep sleep for tens of thousands of years? No wonder the demonic cultivation valley wasn't too dangerous before. Now that she had woken up, this place had become a land of death. What should he say? She was also a pitiful woman. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. However, at this moment, Black Mountain transmitted a message to him. Kid, don't let your emotions get the better of you. No matter how pitiful she is, she's still a Sage King. You can't be careless at all. Quickly, state your request and get benefits. That's the most important thing. Black Mountain was indeed the remnant soul of the great sage. He could still maintain his rationality at this time. Lin Xian took a deep breath and nodded. He naturally knew. Therefore he said, I can help you break the seal, but I have 2 requests. Speak. The mysterious woman suddenly smiled. The vicissitudes of life in her eyes disappeared. The killing intent that filled the sky also disappeared. He really didn't know if the story just now was true or if she made it up. However, Lin Xian couldn't care less. He said in a low voice, First, I want you to swear on your life that you won't kill me. Second, you have to teach me one of your ultimate techniques. After saying this, Lin Xian looked at the other party nervously. After all, she was a Sage King. This level was too far away for him. She was like a high and mighty god. Therefore, he had to be careful. The mysterious woman nodded. Kid, you're very rational. You know very well that these 2 requests aren't too much. Indeed, the first request was to protect his life. That was the most basic. The second request was to learn an ultimate technique. It was equivalent to the reward for breaking the seal. Therefore, the mysterious woman said, I swear on my life that I won't kill you after I break free. Otherwise, I will be struck by lightning and my body and soul will be destroyed. I will never be able to reincarnate. Hearing this, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. This kind of oath couldn't be made randomly, especially when one reached the Sage King realm. Every word and sentence was the law of heaven and earth. If one violated it, it would definitely lead to an unexpected disaster. Therefore, he knew that his life was saved. Next, his eyes were burning. What kind of ultimate technique was the other party going to teach him? The other party was a Sage King. The ultimate technique in the other party's hands was definitely not weak. Even if it couldn't be compared to the inheritance of the great sage, it wasn't far off. Chapter 34:20. Hearing this, Lin Xian became anxious. No, you have to teach it to me first. Although she promised not to kill him, he wouldn't be able to catch up with her if she left after breaking the seal. Where could he find her in the future? Therefore, Lin Xian decisively refused. You dare to question me? The mysterious woman's face darkened. A small ant dared to challenge her dignity again and again? If it was any other time, she could easily kill him with a breath. But now she couldn't do anything. That was because she still needed to rely on him to break the formation. Therefore, she could only say patiently, Good boy, no one has ever dared to challenge me like this. You are the first. Your courage is commendable. Fine, I will teach you the ultimate technique first. I am not afraid that you will go back on your words. Hearing this, Lin Xian was expressionless, but he rolled his eyes in his heart. Nonsense, you have been sleeping for tens of thousands of years. It would be strange if you could see a ghost. He knew that he was her last hope because there were very few people in the universe with a physique like his. If she missed one, who knew how many years she would have to wait? The mysterious woman looked at Lin Xian. Just now, I saw that your physique was extremely masculine and had a sun-like illusion. It should be the divine Nine-Yang physique. The divine Nine-Yang physique is famous in the universe. Therefore, I will not teach you about body cultivation. Your soul and eye techniques are not bad. Moreover, you can use sword qi. You should be a swordsman. I can teach you soul eye techniques or I can teach you sword techniques. You can choose one of them. Your sword qi is too sharp. Even I am a little moved. You should have a treasure in your body, right? What is it? At this point, the mysterious woman looked at Lin Xian and smiled. Lin Xian's scalp went numb. As expected of the Sage King, She could see through his characteristics in an instant. Divine body, soul, and sword qi. These were all his strengths. The secret of the divine nine-yang physique had been discovered by the other party. It was better to hide the secret of the great dragon sword soul. So he said, "Yes, I am indeed a swordsman. Moreover, what I comprehended is the will of sword Tao." As he spoke, he hurriedly displayed several strands of sword qi law. Of course, Lin Xian himself was not a sword Tao law, but the great dragon sword soul could simulate everything, so it should be possible to deceive a Saint King. Unless the Saint King investigated carefully. The other party glanced at him, and no longer paid any attention to him. "How about this? I'll teach you a sword technique that can increase your attack power. That way, your battle prowess will increase, and you'll be able to fight above your level." Hearing this, Lin Xian rolled his eyes. There was no need. He already had the great dragon sword soul, so why would he need to use his opponent's secret technique to increase his battle prowess? Therefore, he quickly shook his head. Refused to learn? The woman in black was stunned. To be honest, she was a Saint King. Which of the ultimate techniques she took out were not earth-shattering. In the outside world, those sages would definitely fight to the death. But now, this kid in the first celestial layer in front of him actually didn't want to learn? He even showed a look of disdain? How infuriating. "Then I'll teach you a set of palm techniques." "I refuse to learn. I refuse to learn." Lin Xian shook his head. Next, the mysterious woman's face was full of black lines. She said 3 ultimate techniques in a row, but the other party directly shook his head and refused. This made her so angry that her lungs were about to explode. "Damn kid. What do you want? Senior, you really don't have any sincerity at all. I'm taking a great risk to break the array formation to let you out. Who knows if your story just now is true? You actually taught me such an ordinary divine ability? Can't you teach me a little of your legacy martial arts?" Speaking of this, Lin Xian had a trace of hope. "You actually have designs on my legacy martial arts." The woman in black was furious. If she took out her legacy, even Saint Kings of the same level would be jealous. How could she teach it to him? "Alright kid, I'll teach you a true ultimate technique then. Although it's not my legacy, its power is definitely not weaker than mine. You should be satisfied this time." "Oh, it's not weaker than the legacy of a Saint King?" Lin Xian was surprised. "What kind of divine ability is it?" This divine ability was called stellar transposition. Stellar transposition? Lin Xian was stunned. Inside the moon-shaped pendant, Black Mountain exclaimed as if he had thought of something. "Kid, use your full strength to attack me," the mysterious woman said. Lin Xian was stunned when he heard that. Then he said, "Alright, I won't hold back then." He threw out a 5-colored palm that carried the 5 elements law and blasted forward. The mysterious woman drew a circle with her palm. It was unknown what kind of power she used, but the 5 elements palm was actually repelled by her. With an even more terrifying power, it charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian jumped in fright and hurriedly dodged. Only then did he manage to dodge. What's going on? He was too shocked. From the looks of it, it was as if the other party had also thrown out a 5-colored palm. Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul. Perhaps he could really do that. However, the other party shouldn't be able to do that. Then what's going on? The mysterious woman said. "Do you see it? This is stellar transposition. No matter what kind of divine ability it is, it can be redirected to the target you want to attack. How is it? Isn't this divine ability powerful? Indeed, it's very magical." Lin Xian was tempted. However, he was curious. He wondered if the great dragon sword soul could be broken. He didn't dare to try because he didn't want to expose the secret of his great dragon sword soul. "Alright, I'll learn it." Lin Xian nodded. Next, the mysterious woman began to teach stellar transposition to Lin Xian. The general outline of stellar transposition was very short. It only had about 100 words, but the core of it was only 2 words. It was to turn and move. That was the most important thing. It could convert the opponent's power back or move it to another place. That was the mystery of stellar transposition. This move, when practiced to the end, was really too powerful. For example, this mysterious woman could even move the laws when she used stellar transposition. It could be said that its power was unfathomable. Lin Xian was only surprised at first. After all, he had 2 great inheritances, and he didn't care about ordinary ones. However, the more he cultivated, the more shocked he became. This was simply too powerful. It was definitely not weaker than the 9-yang divine body. At this time, Heishan transmitted his voice. Of course, this was because the person who created stellar transposition eventually became a great emperor. What? This was created by a great emperor? Lin Xian was shocked after hearing this. In that case, this should be an emperor divine ability. Lin Xian was too shocked. He didn't expect that Yin Nantian would obtain an emperor-grade mystique in the Devil Cultivation Valley, even though he didn't obtain the Hongwu inheritance. After knowing this, he cultivated even more wholeheartedly. During this time, he pestered the mysterious woman and asked her to explain it. Chapter 34:21. Therefore Lin Xian's progress was very fast. Later on, he didn't need her guidance anymore. He just created a clone and started practicing. Lin Xian became more and more familiar with it. In the end, even the mysterious woman revealed a trace of surprise. What's going on with this kid? She was too surprised. Although stellar transposition looked simple, it was very difficult to master. After all, this was an emperor-level mystic art. Its origin was definitely extraordinary. Even a sage wouldn't be able to master it without hundreds of years. But Lin Xian actually managed to master it in such a short period of time. Although compared to her, it was still a far cry. But this kind of cultivation speed really shocked her. He's a genius, and a peerless one at that. His talent is too good. Why do I see the shadow of a young great emperor in him? The mysterious woman was a bit lost in thought, but then she shook her head. Great emperor? That was a supreme existence. Not just anyone could achieve it. How many talented people had died on their way here? Countless great sages were filled with despair when it came to that step. So no one could guarantee that they wouldn't reach it. Although this young man in front of her was talented, he was still far from reaching that step. Alright, this mystic art isn't something that can be mastered in a day or two. So now you should start breaking the seal first. The mysterious woman urged. She had been trapped here for too long. She wanted to get out quickly. Lin Xian didn't immediately start. Instead he said, Senior, although I can help you break the formation, what about after? You can leave, but it'll still be hunted down by the Vermilion Bird Palace. Even if you help me kill those people near the Devil Cultivation Valley, it'll still be threatened as long as the Vermilion Bird Palace isn't destroyed. So, why don't you teach me another mystic art? I'm only saying this to protect myself. This is definitely the last time. I won't ask for anything else in the future. The mysterious woman's face sank. Stellar transposition was already very powerful. It was an emperor-level mystic art. But she didn't expect him to want another mystic art. But after thinking about it, she suddenly smiled. Alright, I'll teach you another mystic art. But this is the last time. If you dare to ask for anything from me, I'll kill you. Even if I don't get out, I won't be threatened by others. A sage king had her dignity. This mysterious woman would probably do what she said. Lin Xian said, Senior, don't worry. Alright, I'll teach you another mystic art. Emerald Tide. It's an attack-type mystic art. Mystic art. Speaking up to this point, green Dao patterns suddenly appeared in the mysterious woman's eyes. They were densely packed, and the entire color had turned green. It was extremely strange. And Lin Xian's soul mystic art. Mystic art. Danger, an absolute danger. This eye technique was simply too terrifying. It could kill without leaving a trace. Then the mystic arts art Tide's mystic art. Lin Xian practiced it briefly and discovered that this eye technique was extremely profound. It was impossible to master it in a short period of time. Right now he had only scratched the surface. But the mystic woman urged him again. Lin Xian stood up and said, Senior, I'll start breaking the array now. He walked to the front and activated his 9-yang divine body. The light on his body was like a sun. Then ghostly qi filled the surroundings. The array formation appeared. The array formation was imprinted in the void. Looking at it could make one faint. It was a peerless array formation set up by supreme experts. However, the mystic woman had been here for so long. She had long studied the array formation. With Lin Xian's divine body, it wasn't a problem to break the array formation. Sure enough, it did not take long for one of the stone tablets to shatter into pieces. Countless cracks began to appear on the surrounding formation as well. Great! Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. But soon he was stunned, because he realized that after the array formation shattered, the mystic woman wasn't happy. Instead, she frowned. He also saw something different. Although the array formation had shattered, the surroundings were filled with a more terrifying aura. A few figures stood there in an eerie manner. Their auras were even more terrifying than the array formation. Could it be that they still had a backup plan? Who were these people? Why would they go to such lengths to seal the mystic woman? The mystic woman glanced at the four figures with a grin. How ruthless! How dare they use the sacred spirit's corpse to suppress me after the array formation is broken? Unfortunately, once the Heaven-Earth Arcane Yellow formation is broken, the sacred spirit's corpse won't be able to suppress me. Kid, lend me a hand. At this point, Lin Xian felt his body tremble as he lost control of his body. What? Lin Xian was shocked. He tried to resist, but the mystic woman's voice echoed in his ears. Don't resist. I won't do anything to you. I need to borrow your yang energy to break the formation. You won't be able to break the sacred spirit's array now, so let me do it. Lin Xian did not resist after hearing this. In the next moment, his arm was raised. A golden sword chi soared into the sky. It was burning with the 9 suns' divine flame, releasing an unparalleled strength of yang. What kind of sword is this? Lin Xian's heart raced. The power was too strong. It was like a golden heavenly sword. The sword cut through the entire sky, and the skeletons of the 4 holy spirits in front of him roared crazily. Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat when he saw the power of the attack. A minor saint was instantly turned into ashes under such an attack. This was the power of a sage king. He could not block it at all. No wonder the mystic woman wanted to help him. Although the sacred spirit's power was terrifying and had an extremely evil aura, the mystic woman's method was even more terrifying. A golden sword was slashed out by her, instantly killing the 4 sacred spirit corpses. Countless cracks appeared between heaven and earth. The surging power made Lin Xian breathe instinctively. Boom. Boom. In the end, the entire valley of devil cultivation was torn apart. Terrifying demonic chi soared into the sky. At this moment, the valley of devil cultivation was completely destroyed. This was a land of death. Even minor saints did not dare to come here. However, the mystic woman's attack had completely destroyed it. This was absolute power. Kid, I'm leaving. Take care of yourself. Maybe one day, we'll meet again. The mystic woman soared into the sky, turning into a black ray of light. Lin Xian was shocked when he saw this scene. Outside the Valley of Devil Cultivation, the people of Vermilion Bird Palace were completely stunned. What's going on? Why is the Valley of Devil Cultivation moving? Suddenly, a violent energy rushed over and sent all of them flying. Many of these people were sages, yet they were sent flying out of worry, coughing up blood. Chapter 34-22. The young disciples were so scared that their scalps went numb. Suddenly, a person knelt on the ground in fear, trembling. Look, it's the Demon Cultivation Valley. The others looked carefully and sucked in a breath of cold air. A cross-shaped crack appeared in the middle of the Demon Cultivation Valley. The entire Demon Cultivation Valley was split into 4 halves. Boundless demonic aura surged and covered the entire sky. What happened? The people in the Demon Cultivation Valley were all stunned. They even forgot to send a message to the Grand Elder. At this moment, a ray of light streaked across the sky, bringing with it a boundless wave of energy. Not good. Someone came out of the Demon Cultivation Valley. Could it be Lin Wudi? Many people wanted to go forward. But in the next moment, any martial saint who came close would be torn into pieces and turned into a bloody mist. That black ray of light was too terrifying. Everything in its path was turned into ashes. Run, run, run. The remaining Vermilion Bird Palace cultivators ran away like crazy. They knew that it definitely wasn't Lin Wuti. This was an extremely terrifying existence. Perhaps it was the legendary existence that was sealed in the Devil Cultivation Valley. After the black ray of light left for a long time, they let out a sigh of relief. Although the surrounding aura was still terrifying, the destructive aura had already disappeared. They knew that the terrifying existence had left. Didn't that mean that they could enter the Demon Cultivation Valley? Thinking of this, their eyes lit up. But in the next moment they screamed, "It's him! He's there!" They saw a figure coming out of the Demon Cultivation Valley below. That figure was like a sun war god, burning with golden flames. Lin Wuti, it's him. He's still alive. And he's coming out now. Go catch him. We can't let him leave. The surrounding Vermilion Bird Palace cultivators quickly surrounded him. The weaker ones were far away, notifying the headquarters. The stronger martial saints were crazily attacking. One of the martial saints spat out countless fire laws, forming a flame that kept spinning, wanting to envelop Lin Xian. It couldn't withstand a single blow. Lin Xian sneered. With a wave of his hand, the law of the 5 elements extinguished the fire. At this moment, a figure dashed over from afar. Die Kid. As soon as this figure appeared, it brought with it the might of the great sage, a saint of the second heaven. The Vermilion Bird Palace martial practitioners were all excited. That's great, even though their Grand Supreme Elder hasn't arrived yet. However, a saint of the second heaven had arrived. It was also very beneficial to them. After all, no matter how strong this Lin Wuti was, he was only a saint of the first heaven. The difference between the realms of each heaven of a saint was extremely huge. It was a chasm that could not be crossed. The other party was dead for sure. Kid, it's all over. The second-level sage was a middle-aged man. With a wave of his hand, the nomological laws on his body formed a large cauldron. He quickly rushed over. The cauldron was incomparably heavy, suppressing everything. Lin Xian roared angrily. The law of the 5 elements formed a sort of nomological laws. It turned into a stream of light and slashed over. In the next moment, an earth-shattering sound rang out. The nomological powers of the two collided with a sonorous sound. The void shattered and the nomological laws danced. The flaming cauldron was actually blocked. The surrounding Vermilion Bird Palace people screamed crazily. How was that possible? They were all stunned. That was a saint of the second heaven. Against a person of the first heaven, he would definitely be instantly killed. Even if he was lucky enough not to die, he would be seriously injured. But now Lin Wuti actually blocked the attack of a second heaven powerhouse. This was simply too inconceivable. Damn it, what was he doing? Perhaps the Vermilion Bird Palace saint of the second heaven was also extremely shocked. An ant was actually able to block his attack. Damn it, I don't believe it. You must be burning your life force. He roared angrily and attacked again. The flaming cauldron burned fiercely. 2 vermilion birds appeared on it. As they circled around each other, its power increased again. Lin Xian shouted coldly and used 9 suns open the sky. It collided with the other party's divine power again. The two collided and sparks flew. Lin Xian retreated, but the saint of the second heaven felt his arm go numb and his face was full of shock. The other party really blocked it. Damn it, how was that possible? The other saints of the first heaven were furious. The 3 saints of the first heaven also quickly charged forward. However, they were swept away by the other party's leg. The other party's leg carried a boundless aura. The law of the 5 elements surrounded it, and all kinds of terrifying energy rushed over. The 3 of them were forced back. However, at this moment, a flying sword flew over. The flying sword was not big, only 1 meter long. The aura it carried was too terrifying. It was as if it could pierce through everything in the world. The law of killing. It was a move that was specially made for killing. Moreover, the person who attacked had a terrifying law power. He was also a saint of the second heaven. Another saint of the second heaven had descended. Moreover, he attacked with a fatal blow. His target was Lin Xian's neck. He could instantly cut off Lin Xian's head. Not good. Lin Xian was shocked, but he was not worried. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. Stellar transposition. On his finger, the law of divine chains revolved and drew a 5-colored semicircle in the air. Immediately, the flying sword was repelled by the semicircle. It charged back at an even faster speed. With a pft, a scream sounded. Immediately after, an arm fell from the sky. Then there was a crazy scream. Damn kid, how was that possible? I'll kill you. I'll tear you into pieces. What happened? Everyone was stunned. Under such a fatal blow, shouldn't Lin Wudi be dead for sure? But why was it that the one who screamed was not Lin Wudi, but their king from afar? An old man walked out from afar. He was wearing a vermilion bird robe, and one of his arms was dripping with blood. The people from Vermilion Bird Palace were dumbfounded. A saint of the second heaven. Another saint of the second heaven. Moreover, he was injured by the other party in an instant. What the hell was going on? The old man's face was terrifyingly gloomy. His arm was naturally chopped off by his own flying sword. But why did his flying sword fly back? Moreover, he was caught off guard. That was why his bigger arm was chopped off by the other party. Lin Xian's face was also filled with shock. Was this the stellar shift? It was really too powerful. To be honest, he was really overjoyed. With his strength, he could fight against a second heaven powerhouse. But against 2 second heaven powerhouses, if one of them launched a sneak attack, he would definitely have to use some trump cards. But now, with just one stellar transposition, he resolved the crisis. And he even injured the other party in an instant. As expected of a great emperor's ability. Damn it, this kid is too strange. All of you step back. Both of us. The middle-aged man said. Chapter 34-23. The old man walked up as well. 2 saints of the second heaven surrounded Lin Xian from the front and back. The remaining Vermilion Bird Palace people all retreated. They weren't worried. Perhaps they were careless before, but now the 2 second heaven stage saints could definitely kill the other party. Kill. The 2 second heaven stage saints didn't waste any words and immediately attacked. Among them, the old man controlled the flying sword that flashed with incomparable killing intent. The law of killing pierced through the void. The other was the law of fire. The monstrous flames carried an incomparable aura. The combination of the two was incomparably terrifying. Even if the opponent was also a second heaven stage saint, he would probably die. Buzz. Lin Xian held the Great Destruction Spear and used the 9-yang sword technique to fight against the flame cauldron. Although the other party was a second heaven stage saint, his 5 elements laws weren't weak either. Therefore, he wasn't at a disadvantage at all. On the other side, he used the Kuan-Peng movement technique to dodge the flying sword. At the critical moment, he used the stellar transposition. This time, the flying sword directly attacked the middle-aged man. With a pucci, the middle-aged man was pierced by the flying sword. The middle-aged man screamed miserably as a bloody hole appeared on his body. The law of fire on his body was constantly repairing. His face was gloomy as he roared crazily. Damn it, you attacked me? The old man's face was also ugly. I didn't attack you, I killed that kid. Damn it, that kid is too strange. He seems to be able to affect my flying sword. Previously, I was injured by my own flying sword. What? The moment these words came out, the middle-aged man was stunned. The Vermilion Bird Palace experts were even more stunned. What was going on? Previously, they knew that Lin Xian had the 9-yang inheritance and the Great Dragon technique. His defense was strong and his attack was terrifying. But they had never seen him use such a strange method. Where did he get it from? Could it be the inheritance of the great emperor? However, they had never seen Yan Nantian use it before. Therefore, they were incomparably shocked. Lin Xian laughed. He laughed very happily. Could it be the divine ability of a great emperor? It was indeed powerful. He was able to face 2 saints of the second heaven without being at a disadvantage. However, he did not continue to fight. Because he knew that these people had definitely notified the Vermilion Bird Palace's headquarters. It wouldn't be long before the little saints arrived. Therefore, Lin Xian laughed coldly. This young master has no time to play with you. Vermilion Bird Palace, I will remember you. In the future, I will uproot you. With that, Lin Xian soared into the sky, intending to leave. Damn it, stop him. Don't let him go. The surrounding people roared crazily. The 2-second heaven sages sneered. You want to leave? Do you think you can? The surrounding Vermilion Bird Palace experts all attacked. All sorts of weapon laws surged out. However, under Lin Xian's powerful battle prowess, everything turned to ashes. Nothing could stop him. The 5 elemental laws transformed him into a 5-colored divine dragon and flew quickly. The Vermilion Bird Palace experts were all stunned. Damn it, what kind of law was this? The other party had just become a first heaven sage not long ago. But the power of his law was so terrifying. It was not weak compared to the second heaven sages. One had to know that these second heaven sages had cultivated for thousands of years. That was why the power of their law was so strong. However, what did the other party have? Damn it, the 5 elemental laws. He had actually cultivated the 5 elemental laws into one. The 2 second heaven sages were also shocked. The middle-aged man waved his hand, and mountains of flames filled the sky, directly imprisoning heaven and earth. On the other side, the person who used the killing intent law instantly set up more than 1,000 killing arrays. The densely packed array made one scalp tingle. The terrifying power instantly turned that space into a complete mess. Lin Xian held the Great Destruction Spear in his hand, and used the 9-yang sword technique. His left hand used the stellar transposition, and his powerful divine body suppressed everything. A portion of it was shattered, and some of the power was transferred to each other and attacked each other. Between heaven and earth, black holes kept appearing. Of course, the aftermath of this energy also blasted his body, causing his blood to roar. However, how strong was the 9-yang divine body? He was only slightly affected, but his foundation was not affected at all. He charged out forcefully. He came out, the other party escaped again. They were really stunned. Who was this person? They had never seen a first heaven sage like this. This was simply heaven-defying. I don't have time to play with you. Lin Xian rose into the air, but he did not completely leave. He still had one move that he had not used. He opened his heavenly secret divine eye, and green Dao patterns appeared in the golden runes. Blue Sea Tide. A ball of golden-green light exploded. With Lin Xian's eyes as the center, it spread in all directions. These green ripples were like waves, instantly roaring. The Vermilion Bird Palace experts who wanted to give chase were stunned. In the next moment, they hugged their heads and screamed. The first heaven sages' faces were twisted, and even the 2 second heaven sages' faces were pale. Not good. Soul attack. They all roared. Blue Sea Tide was not only a soul attack, but also a group attack. Once it was used, everyone in the space would be affected. Some of the weaker ones were directly killed. Their bodies were intact, but there was no vitality. The first heaven sages were also seriously injured. Their faces were pale, and they looked dispirited. Even the 2 second heaven sages were covered in cold sweat. They were also affected. Damn it, what kind of move was this? It was too terrifying. The other party's strength was simply beyond their imagination. This must be the inheritance of a great emperor. It was very likely that he had learned the inheritance of great Emperor Hongwu. Yes, that's right. The other old man's eyes were also shining. Although it was different from Yan Nanshan's, Yan Nantian was only a half-saint before, and this kid was a sage. He might have cultivated the inheritance that Yan Nantian did not know. Kill him, and we must get the inheritance of great Emperor Hongwu. These people were crazy. Buzz. Heaven and earth shattered, and 2 little saints descended, bringing with them more Vermilion Bird Palace experts. Where is he? One of the little saints asked coldly. The others all knelt on the ground and reported to the Grand Elder. That person is very strange and powerful. He probably cultivated the inheritance of a great emperor. What? Chase after him. Also mobilize everyone. Don't let him escape on the path to planet Langia. The Vermilion Bird Palace chased after him like crazy. Everyone on planet Suzaku was completely shocked at this moment. They knew that the Vermilion Bird Palace was chasing after Lin Wudi. However, it had been calm during this period of time, and they thought that the matter was over. They didn't expect the Vermilion Bird Palace to go crazy again today. Chapter 3424. And this time, regardless of whether it was on planet Suzaku, the Vermilion Bird Palace had already come to the outer realm. It looked like they had set up something on the ancient star path. This scene shocked everyone. Perhaps something big was about to happen. The people from the other star realms also sensed this, and they were immediately puzzled. They all poked their heads out, and then they all sucked in a cold breath. The Vermilion Bird Palace was going to attack Lin Wuti. What was going on? Were they going to clear the path for him? After the Dark Moon Divine Hall learned of this, they frowned. They had to investigate carefully. Not only the Dark Moon Divine Hall, but the Eight Wind Palace and other top factions were also investigating this matter, because they felt that this was too unusual. Under normal circumstances, if they wanted to kill Lin Wuti, such a threatening peerless prodigy, they would secretly send experts to kill him. They definitely wouldn't do it on such a large scale. After all, killing a peerless prodigy with great fanfare was a huge taboo on the ancient star path. Because if such a thing wasn't restrained and spread, then all the factions would be in trouble. If you had experts and could kill the prodigies of other sects, then the experts of other sects could also kill your prodigies. Then it would be a complete mess. Therefore, they wouldn't openly carry out such a large-scale killing. They would only launch sneak attacks, so that others couldn't find evidence. But now, the Vermilion Bird Palace's actions were very unusual. Therefore, the other sacred grounds felt that something must have happened that they didn't know. This caused the Vermilion Bird Palace to go completely berserk. At the same time, they had another question. Logically speaking, Lin Wuti should have gone to the Void Ocean. Why was he here? Why was he being chased by the Vermilion Bird Palace? Could it be that something had happened in the Void Sea? Could it be that Yin Nantian was defeated by Lin Wuti in the Void Sea again? They were very confused, so they decided to ask about the Void Sea. The Void Sea was too far away, but each family and sect had their own voice transmission array. They sent out messages to ask those people in the Void Sea. However, after waiting for a long time, they didn't receive any response. It was as if those people had disappeared. Damn it, how is this possible? Once again, they sent out messages and inquired. However, there was no response. This time those people panicked. That shouldn't be the case. Looking at the time, it should be about time for him to return. Furthermore, Lin Wuti's return meant that the Void Ocean must have ended. But why didn't our people react? Could it be that there was an accident? Thinking of this possibility, their hearts sank, and they hurriedly went to investigate. Each of these forces had sent a small team to the Void Sea to find out what was going on. At the same time, they were also gathering information like crazy on planet Suzaku, because the people of planet Suzaku must know something. Very few people knew that Yin Nantian had been killed. Aside from the people of the Vermilion Bird Palace, those who knew had all been killed. Therefore, no one else on planet Suzaku knew that Yin Nantian was dead, and the people of Suzaku Palace wouldn't say anything even if they were beaten to death. After asking around, the major forces only found out that Lin Wuti seemed to have obtained some incredible treasure. The Vermilion Bird Palace was jealous, which was why they attacked like crazy. Treasure? Lin Wuti. Void Ocean? Suddenly, they were startled. Could it be that Lin Wuti had obtained some important treasure from the Void Ocean? The Vermilion Bird Palace was jealous, which was why they were chasing after him like crazy. At the same time, they found out that Saint Mubai of planet Langya had already returned. Yen Ryu and the North Demon had also left. The moment the news came out, they were all stunned. The people of planet Langya had returned safely. Lin Wuti was also causing trouble outside, but their people had mysteriously disappeared. This made them realize that something must have happened in the Void Ocean. And this change was likely related to the Vermilion Bird Palace's anger. Damn it, what was it? They could only ask the people of Vermilion Bird Palace while going to planet Langya to gather information. Of course, Lin Xian didn't know any of this. Lin Xian was very safe at the moment because he was still on planet Suzaku. The people of Vermilion Bird Palace would never have guessed that he would be in such a dangerous place. In a very remote mountain range on planet Suzaku, Lin Xian opened up a cave tens of thousands of miles underground. He was cultivating there. He wanted to improve stellar transposition and blue tide again. The reason for that was because these two mystic skills were simply too powerful. It was the first time Lin Xian had used them, and he could already feel how powerful they were. Therefore, he knew that they would be important for him in the future. He had to make use of this time to improve. Half a year passed in the blink of an eye. Lin Xian opened his eyes. He felt that it was time to go back. Although the most dangerous place was the safest place, there might be some terrifying existence awakening in Vermilion Bird Palace. This time it was a small saint. If a holy sovereign or sage king awakened, it would be bad. The means of a sage king made Lin Xian's hair stand on end. Therefore, he felt that it was safest to return to planet Langya first. Kid, are you sure you want to go back? At this moment, the great sage of Black Mountain sent a voice transmission. If the news of Yin Nanshan's death spreads, everyone's target will be you. Previously, you had 2 great inheritances, which was already very eye-catching. However, you were strong at that time and had planet Langya. Moreover, there was a dazzling genius like Yin Nantian to distract them. Therefore, you were not in too much danger at that time. But now, Yin Nantian is dead. And it was you who killed him. Therefore, in everyone's eyes, Yin Nanshan's inheritance must be with you. Although the 9 sons' inheritance was tempting, they still had to think about it. However, Great Emperor Hongwu's inheritance was different. The inheritance of a great emperor, not to mention these sages, even the sage king and the great sage would be jealous. At that time, do you think the Langya star will make a move on you? Hearing this, Lin Xian was silent for a while. But soon he said, I believe the Langya star will not. Moreover, they should be able to deduce that I did not obtain the true inheritance of a great emperor. Therefore, I have decided to go back. All right. Black Mountain did not say anything else. Lin Xian hid his aura and quietly prepared to leave. In the past half a year, Dragon Valley, 8-Wind Palace, and other powerful forces had gone crazy. Because they were really crazy. In half a year, there was no news of the experts and geniuses that they had sent to the Void Ocean. This made them despair. They knew that these people were most likely dead. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.